Chapter 861. Inside the Grandmaster Tower. Zhang Tao was in a good mood. He said something similar to what Fang Ping had said. Soon, he touched his chin. His beard was gone. It was gone during the last war. While touching his chin, he muttered, "The entrance is around Mount Tai. The cat is familiar, but doesn't remember." Thinking, Zhang Tao raised his eyebrows. Is it a powerhouse from the apatheicized era or the sect era? Fang Ping continued. In the history of martial arts, how many super wars have happened? Fang Ping added, as far as I know, the appearance of the Forbidden Sea was caused by a war. This should be the war at the end of the Demon Emperor era. At that time, humans were probably in the apatheicized era. The second was the war between the two kings and the old antiques of the bounded domain. The third was when unquestionable Jian led the powerhouses from Earth into the catacombs. This was the end of the sect era. The third war. This was what Fang Ping knew so far. The first time, the Forbidden Sea appeared. The second time, the battlefield of the Demon Emperor era and the current broken bounded domain appeared. The third time, however, did not seem to affect much. There were not many relics left, as if the war did not affect anything. Zhang Tao laughed. There should be one more time, but that was too early. It might have happened before the Demon Emperor era. The Demon Emperor should have existed through both the ancient martial era and the apatheicized era. The disappearance of the ancient emperors might have something to do with the war. Of course, this is my guess. The emperors might have disappeared during the war at the Forbidden Sea. This is not clear yet. Zhang Tao knew what Fang Ping meant. He denied, this guy who is hiding shouldn't be someone before the Demon Emperor era. Of course, it's very possible that he's not from the bounded domain. I guess he might be an antique left behind from the apatheicized era. Everyone was surprised. Qin Fengqing said quickly, an antique from the apatheicized era? It can't be that old, right? If he's from the bounded domain, the antiques from the other bounded domain would have shown up. The other party wouldn't have hidden so deeply. Also, the bounded domain? Zhang Tao laughed. Those antiques from the bounded domain don't seem to know how to do this either. Based on what you're saying, the other party is trying to hide the small world that he's in. This is not something an ordinary person can do. If those fellows from the bounded domain could do it, they would have hidden the bounded domain a long time ago. Fang Ping came to a sudden realization and said hurriedly, that's right. If the domain lands really have this ability, I don't think they should put the domain lands in front of everyone. The bounded domain was dangerous, but the target was clear. If it were not for the humans and the catacombs powerhouses holding it back, it would have been breached long ago. If he really had such an ability, the more secluded his hiding place, the better. Fang Ping said excitedly, a powerhouse who's still in front of the sect? Minister, we've earned big this time. If one of them were to be caught, he might be able to reap an incomparably huge harvest. Zhang Tao glanced at him and laughed in spite of himself. You're more confident than me. If that guy was really a survivor of that era, do you think he would be weak? However, since the other party lured Qin Fengqing and acted so sneakily, even the Battle King's clone was wary of him. I'm afraid he might not have recovered. As he spoke, Zhang Tao said, let's go and take a look and we'll know. Minister, aren't you going to prepare? Fang Ping was surprised. Was he not even prepared for this? What's there to prepare? Zhang Tao said indifferently. If we can catch him, then catch him. If we can't, then forget it. We'll just chase him away. If we can't, then seal the entrance to the small world. I'm afraid the other party won't dare to fight with me now. He said it confidently. The other party had hidden for so many years. Even if he still had his combat strength now, he might not dare to fight him. He would go and take a look. If he was weak, then he would catch him and take a look. An old antique who had lived for thousands of years. Other than that cat, he had never seen a real person. As for people like Heavenly King Subduing and the others, who knew how old they were, Zhang Tao was extremely decisive. He did what he said. In the blink of an eye, he brought Fang Ping and the others and rushed toward Dongshan. In reality, it was fine not to bring them. Bringing them would be a bit of a burden. However, Zhang Tao had some guesses in his heart. If he went, he might not be able to find the entrance. Maybe he would have to rely on Qin Fengqing. Tarzan. Queen Mother Pool. High up in the sky, Fong Ping and the others emerged from the black passageway. They were all a little shocked, hurrying through space. What kind of move was this? This was beyond the scope of martial arts, wasn't it? Zhang Tao did not say much. His mentality began to investigate quickly. Very quickly, his eyes moved slightly. In the next moment, they appeared underground as if they had been here all along. There was a pit underground. It was dug out quite wide. Fong Ping and the others glanced at Qin Fengqing. There was no need to ask. This guy dug it. Qin Fengqing looked around and said quickly, "It's at the end in front. When we were digging, we were no longer on Earth." Zhang Tao did not say much. He strode forward. After walking for a while, there was a sealed stone wall in front. Fong Ping used his mentality to investigate and frowned slightly. There was nothing behind the stone wall. It was still soil and gravel. Fong Ping used his mentality to investigate. Very quickly, he shook his head and said, "I didn't find anything unusual. Could it be that it can be moved? If it was possible, then it would be terrifying." Zhang Tao laughed. "Probably not. The passageway is indeed nearby. There are traces of space tearing around here. Shattered space would more or less leave behind some traces." Zhang Tao sensed carefully. Very quickly, he smiled faintly. "It's very vigilant. It doesn't seem to welcome me." As soon as he said that, everyone felt a little strange. Had the other party discovered Zhang Tao? At this moment, Zhang Tao said calmly, "Since Senior is still alive, why don't you show yourself? I have a lot of doubts that I would like Senior to clear up." Silence. No matter what era Senior is from, you should be an Earthling. Since you haven't done anything evil on Earth all these years, I don't want to be your enemy. However, the situation is not stable now. A person like Senior is hiding in the hinterland of Sino Nation. I have to be vigilant. Zhang Tao waited for a moment. Then he smiled again. "If Senior doesn't come out, then forget it. However, this time, I'm afraid you have your own motives for luring the juniors in. Forget it, since you don't want to show yourself. How about this?" Zhang Tao seemed to be thinking about something. He smiled. "Let these juniors in. Senior, give them some opportunities. Take it as a favor." Still silence. At this moment, Zhang Tao's smile was gone. He said indifferently, "You don't want face? I gave you a chance, but you don't cherish it? I said I'm asking you to give them opportunities. I'm asking you to pay for the passage. 1 hour. Let them in. Let them return satisfied. Otherwise, I'll break this shell today and let you have nowhere to hide." As soon as he said that, Fong Ping and the others had a strange look on their faces. This old Zhang was arrogant. Fong Ping was a little doubtful. Could he really find a place? If he could, with old Zhang's personality, would he talk so much nonsense with the other party? Before he came, he said he would capture them directly. The next moment, Zhang Tao's voice rang in everyone's ears. "Think of a way to sneak in first. This is the first time I've seen this. I don't really understand the principle. The overlapping space around here is more complicated. Once you guys go in, I can locate the other party's location. I'll break the space directly and capture them. Don't worry, it won't be too dangerous." Old Zhang was still very confident. He had discovered some abnormalities, but he could not clearly sense the other party's location. After sending Fong Ping and the others in, he could locate the other party's space. Then he could descend directly and break this tortoise shell. Having said that, Zhang Tao suddenly said telepathically, "Hurry up. Hide your aura. I'll make you look like an early-stage rank bait." Fong Ping's gaze flickered. Was he going to set someone up? However, would it be too late to hide in front of the other party's house? Zhang Tao seemed to know what he was thinking. He smiled and said telepathically, "It's okay. The other party won't dare to probe near me. I'm here. Once the other party probes, I'll definitely find out. Of course, we can't exclude the possibility that the other party has some means to see us here. However, they probably won't be able to distinguish your strength." As he said that, Zhang Tao continued, "Later, I'll retreat a little. You guys go in. If there's no danger, then you can follow him and deal with him first. If there's danger, Fong Ping will immediately reveal his aura. With your strength, I can break the space and descend instantly if you reveal your aura. That's good too. Diplomacy before force. He's a senior after all. It's not very polite to break the space and drag him out of the coffin directly. Fong Ping could not stop complaining. Polite? Forget it. You threatened the other party to pay for the passage the moment you arrived. How is that polite? Remember, only reveal your aura when there's danger. Otherwise, you can coax some benefits out of him first. Otherwise, if you attack and kill the other party, some good stuff will go to waste. Zhang Tao was also calculative. He calculated, keep some of the good stuff first. You can communicate with the other party, gossip, and ask about the situation. These things can still be asked now. After we kill the other party later, there won't be any more questions. Actually, it was not worth it to kill someone. Old Zhang felt that there was a need to cultivate a relationship with the other party. As for the other party's schemes, what a joke. He was already here. If the other party could still scheme against everyone, then would he, Zhang Tao, still have any dignity left? Fong Ping transmitted his voice. Will the other party let us in? Don't worry, they will. Old Zhang laughed heartily. Suddenly, his mentality fluctuated. Fong Ping and the others did not notice anything at first. Soon, however, everyone felt that something was wrong. The space was trembling. No, it was twisting. Zhang Tao placed his hands behind his back, his expression indifferent. He did not make a sound. However, the surrounding space began to distort, like a mirror that had been smashed. After a while, Zhang Tao said again, 1 minute. I don't care if you understand or not. I can only wait this long. Let them go in and give me some good stuff. Otherwise, I won't be polite. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Tao threw a punch. Crack! The void shattered. As this punch was thrown, no one knew where the fist force traveled to. A faint, ear-piercing friction sound was heard. 30 seconds left. Boom! Another punch. After this punch, Zhang Tao chuckled. Do you think I don't have the ability to find your location? It might be hard to find, but don't force me to shatter all the space nearby so that you have nowhere to hide. 20 seconds. Boom! Another punch. 10 seconds. Fong Ping and the others' eyelids twitched. Old Zhang was the biggest robber since ancient times. His attitude was as if he would raid the house if they did not pay for the passage. Overbearing. At this moment, a sigh came from somewhere. Is the Emperor today a guest like this? Guest? Zhang Tao's mentality probed around. He smiled faintly. No guest. This is my territory. You are the guests. No matter what happened in the past, since you gave up and left, now you have a new master. You are the guests, the evil guests hiding in the master's house. After saying that, he said again, I'll give you one last chance. Let them in and show enough sincerity. Otherwise, I will destroy your hiding place today. This is not the way of the human sovereign. The ethereal voice sounded again, but the source of the voice was still undetectable. Human Emperor? Zhang Tao sneered and said, You are wrong. I am not a human sovereign. I don't care what happens to the human emperor. I have my own way of doing things. Enough nonsense. I'll leave this place and bring them in. If the benefits aren't enough, I'll bring a few titled true gods over to properly entertain Senior. After saying that, Zhang Tao disappeared from where he was. With him here, the other party probably wouldn't dare to open the passage. At this moment, Fong Ping and the others were only displaying the strength of rank 7 or 8, not rank 9. Even if the other party knew the means of a Ren Huang, he might not think that he could pinpoint the specific location of the space. Before Zhang Tao left, he cursed in his heart, Drink the water I used to wash my feet. This kid Fong Ping had a golden body at 8th refinement. His chi was stronger than a rank 9. As long as the explosion was not concealed, he would immediately be able to sense the specific location, even if they were separated by space. Peaceful measures before resorting to force. I've done it right. Old Zhang sighed in his heart. I'm quite easy to talk to. I didn't even attack directly. Old Zhang left as soon as he said that, leaving Fong Ping and the others behind. They looked at each other, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. How domineering. It seemed to be the first time Qin Fengqing felt old Zhang's domineering. Even his gaze was different. This arrogance, when others wanted opportunities and met senior martial artists, they would beg in every way possible. Old Zhang, on the other hand, was straightforward. If you wanted to give it, you had to give it. As soon as Zhang Tao left, the old voice in the void spoke again. Junior, that day, I saw that you had extraordinary perseverance and wanted to give you a chance. Sigh. I didn't expect that an unwelcome guest would come today. This generation's emperor is not as generous as the emperor. Qin Fengqing was all smiles and said hurriedly, Senior, don't misunderstand. I was prepared to come by myself. But Senior, you don't know what's happening now. Minister, the emperor monitors the world and is everywhere. I was discovered as soon as I moved. Senior, I had no choice. Qin Fengqing felt wronged and said innocently, these few people beside me all have powerful backgrounds. They are all the emperor's direct descendants. I can't not bring them. Senior, I really didn't betray you. Qin Fengqing was so wrong that he was about to cry. He said again, Senior, if it really doesn't work, you can just give us some benefits and send us off. The voice did not come out again. Fang Ping said with a smile, Senior, the current emperor has a bad temper. He always speaks like this. Actually, he doesn't mean any harm. People like us are easy to satisfy. Senior, just give us some opportunities will do. But we are really curious about where you are. Actually, the emperor wants us to go and mainly to confirm if there are any threats. Fang Ping also seemed to be straightforward. Now that humans and the catacombs are at war, the catacombs is God's land or a different world. I don't know if Senior knows. We are also worried that Senior is related to the catacombs. As long as we go in and don't find anything unusual, that emperor will not deliberately make you an enemy. We humans are weak, so we can only protect ourselves like this. If Senior refuses to let us in now, then some things have to be done. It's not that the emperor is overbearing, it's just that the situation is like this, forcing everyone to do this. After Fang Ping finished speaking, his face was full of helplessness and sorrow. There's nothing wrong with what I said, right? I just want to confirm if you're hostile. This is reasonable. If you can't distinguish between friend and foe, then humans have no choice but to make a move. This time, the other party seemed to be thinking, remaining silent. After a while, the old voice sounded again. Forget it, forget it. This old man really doesn't mean any harm. You all are also promising talents. Then come in. As soon as the voice fell, Fang Ping and the rest's vision went black. The space distorted. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared on the spot. As soon as they disappeared, Zhang Tao appeared instantly. Looking at a black hole that flashed and disappeared, Zhang Tao's expression did not change. He said indifferently, Senior, don't hurt them. These few are the most outstanding prodigies among us humans. Silence. Zhang Tao did not care. He did not speak anymore, as if he had become a fossil. He stood still on the spot, closing his eyes and resting. On the other side, Fang Ping and the rest's vision went black. In the next moment, they appeared by a small lake. Beside the lake, trees grew. Fang Ping even saw a few small animals running and playing by the lakeside. Fang Ping looked up at the sky subconsciously. Then he frowned. Not the catacombs? There was no huge sun. No, there was no sun. Although this place was white, it seemed like it was white and not caused by the refraction of sunlight. There were even white clouds floating in the sky. They stood by the shore. In front of them was a lake. It was an ordinary lake, not the eternal lake. The lake was in the center, surrounded by trees. Fang Ping saw some fruits on some trees, but he could not sense any energy. No, it was because his mentality could not detect the other side. Is this the world where the other party is? Fang Ping wondered. Was this the catacombs? Or was it like the Hall of Myriad Origins, a storage space hidden in a spatial rift? Theoretically, this was possible. If the Hall of Myriad Origins was sturdy enough, a powerhouse could shatter the space and stuff the Hall of Myriad Origins inside. Actually, it was possible for people to survive. However, Fang Ping suspected that the Hall of Myriad Origins might not be able to do it. The cutting power of the spatial rift was extremely strong. Even Li Hansong's divine armor would be cut into pieces. This was only for a short period of time. If it was left in the spatial rift for a long time, even the strongest weapon would be cut into pieces. Just as he was thinking about this, in the next moment, someone suddenly chuckled behind him. "Young masters, sorry to disturb you." Fong Ping turned his head and looked. His brows twitched slightly. "Rank 8. Fong Ping was surprised. A rank 8 powerhouse. An old man who looked very old, dressed in an ancient robe, bowed slightly and looked at them with a smile. Fong Ping's attention was attracted earlier. He did not notice the other party's existence for a while. "You are?" Fong Ping looked puzzled. He asked hesitantly, "Aren't you the senior just now?" "Master is still cultivating in seclusion. Please follow me." The old man was all smiles. Fong Ping asked calmly, "There's someone else here?" There was actually more than one person. Things were getting more and more interesting. Now that chaos was coming, even ghosts and monsters were coming out. Not only did top-notch powerhouses show their figures, but there were also some ancient humans. What did this mean? Were there any living people in the Heavenly Palace in the Bounded Domain? Although he had been to the Xuanda Grotto, he really did not know if there were other living people there. As for LV Jun, who had been to Quokang Mountain, he went to the Lake of Eternal. He stayed there for a few years and almost never went to other areas. The Heavenly Palace stretched for thousands of miles. The place was incomparably huge. The Lake of Eternal was only a small area, like a small corner of a city. It was hard to say whether there were people in other places. Rank 8 ancient humans. Fong Ping's heart rippled. Were these real ancient humans or the descendants of some ancient people here? Could it be that these people will also appear in the future? Fong Ping fell into deep thought for a while. Beside him, Qin Fengqing smiled and said, "Senior, I didn't see you the last time I came. Have you always been living here?" In front, the old man's tone was slightly different from modern humans. He smiled and said, "I've always been here. Young friend, you trespassed here by mistake last time. Initially, I wanted to chase you away, but the master said that you have great perseverance, so he let you stay here for a while. The last time, the master was still in closed-door cultivation. He only sensed your arrival slightly. Initially, he planned to meet you again the next time you come, but I didn't expect." The old man shook his head slightly, a little regretful. He glanced at Fong Ping and the rest, smiled and said nothing. It was as if their opportunity was ruined by these few people. Fong Ping was sober now. He smiled faintly and said, "Old sir, he has great perseverance? Where did you see that from? When it comes to perseverance, I don't think we're any worse than him. We'll only be stronger than him. He's just a rank 7 martial artist." Fong Ping said proudly, "I'm a rank 8 golden body. I'm younger than him. Logically, if the master of this place really values someone, it should be me." Fong Ping's pride was overflowing with words. Beside him, Li Hansong's golden body was also shining. He chuckled and said, "Me too. Qin Fengqing isn't considered strong, right? Senior, you said he has great perseverance, but he's not as strong as us, right?" "Huh?" Li Hansong was also laughing heartily. Qin Fengqing looked sullen. He did not say a word. He lowered his head and did not speak. The old man sighed. Very quickly he smiled and said, "Young masters, please follow me." He led the way in front. Fong Ping did not send a voice transmission. He looked at old Wang and Iron Head, raised his eyebrows slightly, and gestured at them quietly. Not a good thing. They actually wanted to sow discord. Although what the other party said seemed to be the truth, was it appropriate to say this the first time they met? These guys seem to be deliberately making Qin Fengqing hostile toward us. What are they plotting? Fong Ping was puzzled. He looked at Qin Fengqing again. With a look of contempt, he sent a voice transmission. "Qin Fengqing, you useless thing. Even if the opportunity falls into your hands, it's a waste. You don't have a true god to back you up. It's already good enough that I brought you here this time. If you didn't help me run errands to ask for a true god clone last time, would you be able to come to this place? If you dare to be dissatisfied, don't blame me for teaching you a lesson when we get out." Fong Ping's arrogance was overflowing with words. Qin Fengqing clenched his fists tightly. Without saying a word, he followed the old man in front of him quietly, walking toward the orchard together. Chapter 862. In front of him, the old man walked forward with his back bent. Fong Ping sent a telepathic message to Qin Fengqing. At this time, he looked around. While inspecting the environment, he smiled and said, "I forgot to ask for senior's title." The old man did not turn his head and said slowly, "Wu Ding." Wang Jinyang chuckled. "Senior Wu Ding, your name reminds me of some of the customs of the Shang and Zhou dynasties." Fong Ping's thoughts were stirred. During the Shang and Zhou dynasties, especially the Shang dynasty, there were many people named after A, B, C, and D. Being named after the heavenly stems and earthly branches was not something that ordinary people could enjoy. Only people with status would do that. The heavenly stems and earthly branches were extremely important during that period. Wu Ding smiled but did not reply. Fong Ping glanced at him. Wu Ding? Was the master of this place really someone from the Shang and Zhou dynasties? According to the calendar, the Shang and Zhou dynasties could be traced back to 3,000 years ago. This person was only a rank 8. A rank 8 golden body could not even live to 3,000 years old, right? Unless someone imprisoned him or forced him into a deep slumber, causing his psyche to be on the brink of extinction. Only now has he awoken. Otherwise, there's no way he could be from the Shang and Zhou dynasties. Not many rank 8 martial artists could live that long, but as a rank 8 powerhouse, Fong Ping had a general idea. It shouldn't be a problem for him to live for 1,000 years. However, that might not be the case for those over 1,000 years old. Senior Wu Ding, where exactly is this place? Other than Senior and that true God Senior, is there anyone else here? Wu Ding seemed to hesitate slightly. At this moment, Fong Ping's mentality was slightly rippling. Someone was transmitting his voice. In any case, his mental strength was comparable to a level 9 expert. Being so close to him, he could still feel it. In the next moment, Wu Ding said slowly, "This is Xianming Gonghua Heaven. There are still some survivors." Wang Jinyang's expression changed slightly. He glanced at Fong Ping and said softly, 33 heavens." Fong Ping looked calm. He was already used to it. In the ancient myths, it was not true that the tide came from the cave. However, the so-called 33 heavens, 10 major heavens and 36 minor heavens, these legends were actually developed from Taoism. According to records, Taoism originated from the spring and autumn period and the Warring States period. Logically speaking, if this person really lived in the Shang and Zhou dynasties, he wouldn't have such a concept. However, Fong Ping did not care. It was very likely that Taoism was organized and formed in the later period with some additional fabrications. That was why these systems were formed. In that era, it was very normal for martial arts experts to call themselves gods. 33 heavens? Wu Ding repeated, as if he wasn't sure. Obviously, he did not have such a concept. Fong Ping did not explain. Taoism was divided into 33 levels of heaven. This place was actually one of the legendary places. This was not what Fong Ping was interested in. In the next moment, he said with a face full of smiles, "Senior Wu Ding, according to our understanding, there are a total of 33 such worlds. Could it be that there are 32 other places similar to Xianming Gonghua Heaven?" Wu Ding remained silent. Fong Ping said mildly, "After all, Emperor is still out there. There are some things that we still want to understand. Senior, what do you think?" Using Old Zhang as a deterrent. Since the other party had let them in, it was obvious that they were still afraid of Old Zhang. Since that was the case, Fong Ping did not mind acting as a playboy until the end. At this moment, he was also full of confidence, his tone slightly aggressive. Wu Ding seemed to be thinking about proof or listening to something. Very quickly, he said, "There is no such thing as 33 heavens. Back then, there were still some places similar to Xianming Gonghua Heaven. However, this place has been sealed for a long time. We don't understand the matters of other worlds." Senior, can you tell me why the apatheicized era declined? The apatheicized era. Wu Ding seemed to be in a trance. He said softly, "I don't know. I was just a disciple back then. During the chaos, I had already fallen into a deep sleep. The owner of this place should know, right? The owner has come out of closed-door cultivation. Honorable guest, you can ask." Wu Ding laughed. as if he was unwilling to say anything more. However, Fong Ping already felt that he had gained a lot. Whether he was willing or not, he smiled and said, "Senior, how many people are there in Xianming Gonghua Heaven in total?" "Very few." "How many is very few?" Fong Ping pressed on, a little overbearing. A notebook appeared in his hand. With a smile on his face, he said, "Senior, please don't misunderstand. Recently, the Emperor wants to tally up the strength of all parties. Previously, a few territories have been breached. Perhaps Elder does not know what kind of place the domain is. Even some of the huge sects and holy lands established in the catacombs also have some experts within. We have already calculated the strength of some domains. After all, the situation now is different, and we also hope to know some information." Wu Ding suddenly said, "Sect's sacred grounds? Could you tell me more about it?" Fong Ping saw him turn around and smiled. "Don't you know, Senior? Could it be that after so many years, Senior has never left?" Fong Ping continued, "It was built by some powerhouses during the apatheicized period. I don't know if you know them, Senior. Like Gong Zhuanzi or something." Wu Ding's expression changed slightly, but he did not speak again. After continuing forward for a while, Wu Ding suddenly said, "Honored guest, you don't have to probe this. Wu Ding is just a disciple, and I have indeed not gone out in all these years. This realm suffered a great calamity previously, and the realm gate was sealed, so I was unable to go out. It's only recently that the realm gate has loosened and Master is able to open it a little." Fong Ping laughed and ignored him. "Are you kidding me? Being sealed and unable to go out? That was probably true. Probably for some time. However, to say that they had been sealed for thousands of years and had never gone out, he did not believe it. Not only did he not believe it, Fong Ping felt that the other party was treating him as a fool. There was no other reason. He had already seen a hall in front of him, and it was actually paved with glazed tiles. A few thousand years ago, was the architectural style of the apatheicized period like this? According to the records, society had just started at that time. Even martial arts powerhouses would not know the architectural style of a few thousand years later, right? If you were to say that it was like the domain, piling up a large number of monster plant trunks and using precious metals to pave the way, then Fong Ping had no idea. The Sky Palace and the domain, the last time he went to the Imperial Road, they were all built by piling up energy crystals. Of course, it was done as grandly as possible. However, this place, Fong Ping glanced at it. The glazed tiles seemed to be the ordinary kind. What kind of joke was this? This was baked a few thousand years ago. These people may have restrictions, but they have definitely gone out. Fong Ping was certain in his heart that they had definitely gone out. Other things aside, the architectural style of the hall in front was similar to the style of the Ming and Qing dynasties. In other words, they must have gone out a few hundred years ago. Fong Ping ignored him, bringing up the old topic again. "Senior, if it's convenient, why don't you tell me how many people are here?" This time, Wu Ding did not turn around. His tone seemed a little unhappy as he said slowly, "More than 500 people. So many." Fong Ping had the intention to use his mentality to explore, but after thinking about it, he gave up. He did not even know how big this place was and what the situation was like. Passing through the fruit forest, Fong Ping had also observed a lot of things. The fruit forest here seemed to have a lot of energy fruits, probably the ones that Fengqing mentioned. However, Fong Ping felt that they were not too rich, and they did not seem too good either. However, there were some places that he did not explore. He did not know if there were good things hidden in the depths. Moreover, there was a barrier blocking them, so it was not good for him to explore forcefully. "How many true god powerhouses are there?" Fong Ping asked again, smiling. "I forgot to ask. In Senior's era, what was the title for powerhouses? Was it the mighty, golden body, false god, true god realms?" "False god?" Wu Ding hesitated for a moment before saying, "Are you talking about the origin realm?" Fong Ping raised his eyebrows slightly. Back then, was it called the origin realm? Did that cat not keep calling it false god, false god? Fong Ping suddenly realized that the cat seemed to like to call it that way. For example, old Zhang's false emperor. In that case, back then, it was actually the origin realm and not the false god realm. Yes, that's it. Looks like it's more or less the same. Senior, can you clear up my doubts? Wu Ding sighed. This realm has been sealed for many years. The survivors are getting fewer and fewer. Birth, old age, sickness, and death are unavoidable even for us. In terms of strength, honorable guest, you don't have to worry about it. In this place, the true God is only master. There are only a few people at the origin realm, but there are a few dozen at the golden body realm. Fong Ping smiled. Senior, without achieving the golden body, those people probably can't live for long. In that case, many of the people here were born later. However, according to some of our observations during the neo-martial arts era, when a place is sealed off and the population is sparse, long-term inbreeding will actually give birth to fools. More than 500 people? That's not a small number, Fong Ping said casually. All these years, could it be that seniors have a way to replenish the foreign population? He said it calmly, but in his heart he was certain. If these more than 500 people were all old antiques, all rank 8 and above, then he would not think much of it. They might be remnants from the past. However, if they were not rank 8, how did they survive until now? Not to mention hibernating, without the golden body, your flesh would rot straight away in hibernation. Just wait for death. Therefore, these people were definitely born later, in a sealed small world. There were many humans who had not reached rank 8. In a few thousand years, unless there were hundreds of thousands of people reproducing here back then, it would be about the same. If there were really hundreds of thousands, it might have become hundreds of millions by now. However, if the population was small, then close relatives would continue to breed and reproduce. These people who were left now would all become idiots. However, Fong Ping did not think that these people were idiots. In that case, these fellows had gone out and brought people in. Wu Ding fell silent again. The more he said, the more mistakes he would make. He did not expect this young man to say so much in just a few sentences. Fong Ping asked again, "How big is Xianming Gonghua heaven? Can you tell me, senior?" Heaven is boundless. Just as Wu Ding said this, Fong Ping coughed dryly and said, "Senior, in our neo-martial era, what we pursue is truth. Can you tell me in general so that I can make a record?" What boundless, limitless? Fong Ping could not be bothered to listen to these things. Wu Ding seemed to be stumped for a moment. This was the first time someone asked how big the sky was. Heaven was boundless. This was what they thought. However, after a moment, Wu Ding still opened his mouth and said, 10,000 steps long and wide. Beside him, Old Wang said quickly, according to the Zhou system, 1 step is about 6 feet. According to the Zhou system, 1 foot is about 20 centimeters, 1 step is about 2 meters. 10,000 steps, then the area of this place is about 140 square kilometers. Fong Ping understood, a smile on his face. This was the sky? Such a small sky? Some small towns in Sino Nation were bigger than this place. It did not sound too small, but it was a square of about 10,000 meters long and wide. For martial artists with Fong Ping's ability, he could go from one end to the other in the blink of an eye. However small was small, to be able to hide in space, this was not easy. This was the ability. Fong Ping could more or less understand why it was so small. It was not easy to build this place. The bigger it was, the more troublesome it would be. To be able to build a territory of about 200,000 mu in space was not easy. As they were talking in front of them, in the temple, someone suddenly poked her head out. She looked at them and hurriedly retracted her head. Fong Ping's eyes moved slightly. There was a young man. The person who just poked her head out seemed to be a woman. She was not old, about 15 or 16 years old. This place was definitely not unconnected to the outside world. Maybe there were not many people in the past. Later on, there were only about 500 people. Wu Ding did not seem to see her. He had no intention of introducing her. In the temple, someone seemed to be scolding and quickly closed the door of the building. Around the building, Fong Ping also saw things that looked like rice fields. There were some golden plants planted in the fields. They looked like rice, but not really. Fong Ping glanced at them and asked, "Senior Wu Ding, is this food? I feel that the energy is quite abundant. Where does the energy come from?" "You mean heaven and earth spirit?" Wu Ding asked. Fong Ping was speechless. Whatever you say, these people really thought of themselves as immortals. A paragon, leading a group of martial artists, opened up a hiding place and dared to call himself a god. Based on this situation, Fong Ping suddenly became interested. If that's the case, I can also be a god. One day when I have nothing to do, I'll ask old Zhang to open up a space too. Later on, I'll capture some catacombs humans and put them in. I'll call myself a creator god. However, when he thought of old Zhang, who was stronger than a god, acting like a bandit, Fong Ping instantly lost interest in a god. This was a god. No, old Zhang was a guy who specialized in beating up a true god. That guy was living a free life as a bandit. He did not even want to be a human emperor. He just wanted to be a bandit. Clearly, this profession was more awesome than a god. While he was letting his imagination run wild, Wu Ding said, "This spirit energy is transformed from the void energy that this realm automatically absorbs. Is this place in the catacombs? Or is it on Earth?" Fong Ping added, "Senior, you should know about the catacombs, right? It's the place with the Forbidden Sea and Mount Imperial Sea." "You mean, as expected," Wu Ding knew. His eyes flickered and he quickly said, "This realm is attached to the human world and the catacombs. It is located between the heavenly and mortal world walls. Back then, Master created this world so that it would be easier to travel between the two worlds. So, this place is actually a large transit passage?" Fong Ping understood now. This was the passageway to the catacombs. It was just bigger and longer. What 33 heavens? It was just a transit station. Why are you acting so mysteriously? However, Fong Ping was still slightly vigilant. As expected, this place could really connect the catacombs and Earth. Back then, this group of powerhouses probably did not want to use those public passageways. They wanted to stand out from the crowd, so they opened up these places. After understanding the general situation, Fong Ping saw that Wu Ding was still leading them forward. He could not help but ask, "Senior, where are we going now?" Since the human sovereign has a request, Master has already agreed to open the 10,000 Techniques Pagoda. Honored guests, you may take a look at the Divine Tao. Techniques cannot be easily passed down. Master's techniques can be used to seal gods. Today, the human sovereign has arrived, so Master specially instructed us to open the pagoda. Fong Ping almost yawned. Battle techniques? Cultivation method? No matter what technique it was, he was not interested. Old Zhang, that fellow, was still waiting for him with 810,000 types of energy recombination methods. How would he have the time to learn these? Besides, it was not that he looked down on these old antiques, but reality had proven that these old antiques had cultivated for thousands of years, and now they might not even be as strong as old Zhang. He was blocked at the door, asking for benefits, and if he did not give, he would be beaten. Did he want to learn this kind of technique? It was not easy to make this trip. He, Fong Ping, was busy every day. Even old Zhang was called over. Was it just for this? 10,000 Techniques Pagoda? Fong Ping chuckled. I've learned the human sovereign's techniques and a few titled True God's techniques. I've even observed the true God Tao. Senior, what's so special about these techniques? Can they be leapfrogged to battle? Fong Ping's smile was bright, even with a hint of disdain. He said with some pride, I don't know, just one or two true God powerhouses. Counting them, there are still dozens of them. The human sovereign said that meeting a senior from the apatheicized period this time was my good fortune. That's why when I heard that Qin Fengqing discovered the whereabouts of the owner of this place, the human sovereign immediately brought me here, thinking that there's something here that can help me. I thought I came in this time. That kind of unique fruit, like the true God monster plant, is everywhere here. Fong Ping coughed softly. Do you know about the demon clan, senior? The kind where big trees and small flowers turn into monsters. Some true God demon clans only bear one fruit in their lifetime. That thing tastes all right. As he said that, Fong Ping looked at Li Hansong. Do you still have that elm fruit of yours? Last time, that Tianyu guy didn't put in any effort and bore a mess of things. It's not very useful. Li Hansong did not waste any time either. A fruit appeared in his hand, and he tossed it to Fong Ping. Fong Ping tossed it, saying with some disdain, "I've eaten a few of these before. My mentality hasn't grown after eating them. It's not very useful anymore. The fruits that those origin realm monster plants bear are all very unpalatable. Alright, the unique fruit that origin realm monster plants bear is quite effective. The last time I ate one, my mentality actually recovered." Following Fong Ping's words, Wu Ding's expression was already extremely stiff. If he spoke blindly without any evidence, he would think that this person was bragging. However, when the holy fruit appeared, when he saw the few of them wearing spatial rings, when he saw him casually tossing the true god fruit like it was trash, Wu Ding suddenly felt that there might be some trouble this time. How could the outside world be like this? 100 years ago, he had gone out before. Back then, the outside world's martial arts were almost extinct. When golden body powerhouses appeared, they were almost invincible existences. Forget about the true god fruit. He had never even seen a low-grade immortal fruit. True God method? 100 years ago, when he went out, forget about true God method in the outside world. Even the self-created methods of a group of low-ranked martial artists were treasures. This time, the outside world's top powerhouses came. His master opened the Myriad Dharma Tower. Even he was a little envious. Initially, he thought that these people would be happy and excited. However, at this moment, Wu Ding suddenly realized he might have really thought wrong. The 4 people in front of him were young, but they were actually all at an advanced realm. 2 god conduits, 2 golden bodies. Wu Ding suddenly said, "Sir, how old are you?" Fong Ping found it funny and said, "Senior, don't be so courteous. I should be 21 years old this year." Li Hansong said sheepishly, "I'm 3 years older than you." He was the oldest. Qin Fengqing was 1 year younger than him. Old Wang was 22. Among them, Li Hansong was the oldest. Once 11 years were up, he would be 24 years old. However, his words made Wu Ding, who was in front of him, pause slightly. It was difficult to tell how old a martial artist was, especially for people like Fong Ping, whose bones could not be seen much. Broken bones had been reborn several times. He drank life essence often, so his life qi was extremely rich. Initially, Wu Ding did not think too much about it. These people might be young, but he went out 100 years ago. Maybe they were powerhouses born in the recent 70 or 80 years. That was also possible. Even powerhouses who had walked out of the secret place that he had sensed back then. However, when he heard that these people were only in their early 20s, Wu Ding felt that this time it was really bad. At this age, they had cultivated to the golden body realm. Not to mention this era. Did they have it in their era? At this moment, he believed everything that Fong Ping said. This was definitely a person who ate the true god fruit like it was a meal. Otherwise, no matter how much of a genius he was, he would not have progressed so quickly. Thinking of this, Wu Ding glanced at Qin Fengqing from the corner of his eyes. If that was the case, this person was actually not that old? Master valued this person because he had seen his age last time? Was that why he felt that he was a promising talent? Actually, if he did not look at Fong Ping and the others when he first saw Qin Fengqing, such a young, illuminating god martial artist, he would also think that he was a genius, one of the most talented people in this era. However, a few stronger and younger ones had appeared in front of him. At this moment, Wu Ding did not know what his master was thinking. However, in recent years, his master had spied on the outside world. Perhaps he knew something, and it might not be what he imagined. Wu Ding thought to himself, and quickly said, "If that's the case, esteemed guests, please go to Myriad Dharma Loft and rest for a while." There are still some differences between ancient and modern methods. At this moment, Wu Ding could only settle Fong Ping and the others down first before thinking of a solution. In the beginning, he had thought that Myriad Dharma Loft was enough. However, now it was difficult. Powerhouses like Emperor had actually passed on true methods. It was simply unbelievable. Wu Ding even felt a little inferior. He had served his master for many years, yet he had never learned true god methods. Actually, Myriad Dharma Loft did not have true god methods, but they had a few origin methods. In his opinion, this was already a peerless method, but now, he did not think so. Fong Ping glanced at him, smiled and nodded, not rejecting him. Did he want to use a few worthless combat techniques to get rid of him? Dream on. However, it was good to go take a look. Actually, compared to combat techniques, he wanted to read some historical records more. Anecdotes and gossip magazines were better than combat techniques. When mentality cultivation methods were introduced to the human world, Fong Ping was not very interested in these antique methods. Unless that paragon passed on his own origin method, Fong Ping felt that he might be able to take the opportunity to pry into the paragon's origin method. As they walked, Fong Ping smiled and said, "Senior Wu Ding, you don't have to care too much about what we think. If you have divine weapons or whatnot, you can just give us a few. For example, Heavenly King Seal, Divine Peeking Mirror, and the like. I've seen them before. Their power is still considerable." Divine weapon. Wu Ding's expression changed completely. This person had even seen divine weapons before. How was it possible? With the vicissitudes of time, divine weapons had long disappeared, lost in the long river of history. How could it possibly appear? Not only Wu Ding at this moment, the void trembled slightly. The owner of this place was also shocked. A divine weapon had appeared. Fong Ping did not seem to sense it, saying casually, "All right, there's also a divine weapon that's similar to a fishing rod. That's powerful too. It's not difficult to catch a true god." The void trembled again. Fong Ping continued, "Last time, there was a cat that called itself Song Mao and used it. It even caught a true god, insisting on eating a true god with me no matter what. How can I eat that thing?" Fong Ping said helplessly, "Senior, have you heard of Song Mao?" Song Mao. Wu Ding's expression changed again and again, a little sluggish from the shock. He muttered, "Song Mao and Tung Mao. Two true gods are still alive." Fong Ping smiled. "Tung Mao doesn't know, but Song Mao is still around. Recently, he called me to go fishing at the Forbidden Sea, but I didn't go. There are so many things to worry about. Where would I find the time?" Fong Ping said helplessly, "Previously, I fished a true god. He insisted on stripping the true god's Tao source for me, saying that it was a souvenir. However, I'm too lazy to take that kind of weak true god's path, even if he gave it to me." Having said that, a cat-like fruit appeared in Fong Ping's hand. He smiled. "There's also cat fruit. He said he would give it to me to eat. It tastes good. I ate a few, but it's just, cat fruit." At this moment, it was not Wu Ding who spoke, but the mentality fluctuation that spoke. The owner of this place could not sit still anymore. Even his favorite cat fruit was given away by Song Mao. Also, he actually fished up a true god, stripping off his Tao and giving it to this person. This person. Who was he? The emperor sent him here. Song Mao was his companion, and he had even eaten a true god's demon plant fruit before. Even he did not have such treatment. What kind of noble status did he have to do this? There was actually such a person in the human world. Whose descendant was he? At this moment, this old antique was at a loss. All his previous plans fell through in an instant. After that, he was furious. Under such circumstances, the emperor wanted him to give a satisfactory benefit. How could he give it to him? Also, the current emperor seemed to be stronger. What was going on? In the past, the owner of this place had also spied on the human world. He had also discovered Zhang Tao, who was not yet the emperor back then. But at that time, the other party had just walked the path of the emperor. No, it was not considered the path of the emperor. It was just a mutated path of the emperor, and many people walked together. At that time, he did not care too much about these things. But now, the current emperor was terrifyingly strong. What had happened in the past few decades? No, what had happened in the past few decades? Ever since Zhang Tao achieved the pinnacle, he no longer spied. There was a true god in the human world nearby. He was afraid of being discovered, so he no longer spied and sealed everything. In the end, in just a few decades, in the blink of an eye, everything was completely different. The old antique was inexplicably shocked. He suddenly felt an immense pressure and threat. As for Fong Ping, he felt the mentality fluctuation of this pinnacle, as well as that faint voice. He could not help but smile. This was the effect that he wanted. Ordinary things couldn't get rid of him. Now, let's see what you can do. If there was nothing good, he would immediately unleash his chi and let old Zhang appear to deal with him. When this guy came into contact with Qin Fengqing, Fang Ping felt that he was not a good person, since he dared to take advantage of him. Then he would not be polite. Although he was not an opponent of the pinnacle, as long as old Zhang dealt with the old antique, Fang Ping felt that it would not be a problem for him to destroy this so-called 33 heavens. Was this still the world of immortals? At this moment, Fang Ping had no interest in these myths at all. P.S. There are only 2 updates today. I'm so tired recently. I haven't returned the updates that I owe, and I owe one more update. Sorry. Chapter 863. Please take a rest. If you have any doubts, you can ask Wu Xian. Fang Ping's boast shocked the owner of this place. After recovering from his shock, Wu Ding led everyone to a huge library and prepared to leave. Fang Ping knew that Wu Ding was probably going to meet his master. He did not say anything and looked at Wu Xian, who Wu Ding was talking about. This was the guardian of Myriad Dharma Tower. The other party had a strong physique, different from Wu Ding's old appearance. He still looked like a middle-aged man. Wu Xian had long hair that was simply tied up with an unknown rope. He wore a narrow-sleeved shirt and leather boots that looked like they were made of monster fur. He had a mixed style. Wu Xian also had rank 8 strength. However, Fang Ping sensed that the other party was probably only rank 4 or 5, while Wu Ding was at least at rank 8-6. Senior, feel free. We will stay here for a while. Don't mind us. Fang Ping chuckled and let Wu Ding leave. As soon as Wu Ding left, the middle-aged man, Wu Xian, saluted them. Wu Xian greets the princes. The strong man was very polite, more polite than Wu Ding. Fang Ping said with a smile, Princes? Senior Wu Xian, can you tell us? The outside world is different from back then. Some titles have changed too. Wu Xian said hurriedly. The descendants and heirs of the emperors are all princes. Princes were not sons or grandsons. Princes were not exclusive to the children and grandsons of the emperors. This was a respectful title. Emperors. Fang Ping was not in a hurry. He walked into the huge Myriad Dharma Tower. He looked around and smiled. Emperors. Are they the true gods that old cat mentioned? Although Wu Xian was a rank 8 powerhouse, he followed behind him respectfully. The title of true god that the emperor mentioned is the emperor. He said immediately, Were there many emperor powerhouses in your era? Fang Ping asked casually, pretending to be unintentional. This, Wu Xian smiled. Wu Xian is only Xian Mingtian's disciple. I don't know much about emperors. However, there were some emperors who were good friends with my master. They came to Black Light Continent before. I only know 5 emperors. Your master is also an emperor-level powerhouse? Wu Xian was slightly proud. He bowed slightly and said, Master is also an emperor-level powerhouse. I realized that Overlord tier isn't that valuable. As soon as Fang Ping finished speaking, Wu Xian's expression changed. He looked like he wanted to say something, but held it in. Fang Ping ignored him and continued, I seem to know quite a few titled true gods. Sino Nation has 8 grotto heavens now, and the masters of the grotto heavens are all titled true gods. It was the same for the human emperor and heavenly king Jin. Other than that, over at the catacombs, the Sky Plant King, the Destiny King, the Qin King, the Myriad Demon King, the Heavenly Demon King, and a Big Crow in the Forbidden Ocean were all there. Even fake kings, although they haven't reached this level yet, they seem to have some tricks up their sleeves. Fang Ping counted with his fingers and said with a smile, More than 2 hands. I know so many of them, and there are still many that I know and have never seen before, such as seniors like your esteemed master. If that's the case, I was right when I said that there were too many great emperors, right? Fang Ping smiled indifferently, as if a great emperor was nothing more than this. In reality, the people he was talking about were the most outstanding group of people from the 2 realms in the past several thousand years. They were the most elite group of people. This was not the accumulation of 1,000 years, but countless years, and it could not even be pushed forward. From one era to another, the most powerful warriors had survived. That was why there were so many titled battle pet warriors in that era. However, Wu Xian's expression changed slightly. This person in front of him had actually seen so many Emperor-level powerhouses. Even during the apatheicized era, Emperor-level powerhouses were also the most elite type, very rare. True gods were actually not considered rare in that era. In the Grotto heavens, each family had 8 or 9 true gods. This was very normal. As for the blessed Grotto heavens, it was actually after the apatheicized era. Therefore, during the apatheicized era, there were actually quite a number of true gods, but when they reached emperor level and had emperor titles, there were not many. Seeing that he did not speak, Fong Ping laughed again. The master of this place might not really have the strength of a titled. Fong Ping felt that perhaps his strength had not reached the peak. If he really had the strength of a titled, old Zhang would not be so arrogant. In fact, it was not only the old antiques in this place. Those old antiques that had been revived today had not reached the peak, and they seemed to be in the recovery period. This was the main reason for old Zhang's arrogance. He was confident that he could take down the other party. If the other party really had the strength of Heavenly King subduing, then this time when old Zhang came, his attitude would definitely not be like this. If it was necessary to curry favor, then it was necessary to admit defeat. This was inevitable. Fong Ping did not continue this topic. He took a look at the huge staircase that led upstairs, smiling. Are there any books related to strange and unusual things here? I've read too many cultivation methods and things like that, so I'm not very interested. I'm a little interested in those, though. Yes. Wu Xian immediately said, Princes, please follow me. As he said that, he began to lead the way forward. As they walked, Fong Ping asked again, Senior Wu Xian, do you know the unquestionable sword? Wu Xian looked doubtful. He pondered for a moment and said, I don't know. Do you know Li Xuanxia? I don't know. Then what about Heavenly King subduing and Devil Emperor? Wu Xian shook his head again, a little embarrassed, and said hurriedly, Wu Xian has lived in Black Heaven for many years and rarely goes out, so I don't know much about the outside world. If it's not a powerhouse with a great reputation, it's difficult for Wu Xian to know. Then do you know Gong Zhuanzi and these people? This time, Wu Xian did not say that he did not know them. He quickly answered, I know, the North Sea Emperor. Before he became an emperor, he was known as the North Sea Immortal Duke. At this point, Wu Xian seemed a little embarrassed on Fong Ping's behalf. He coughed softly and said, the North Sea Emperor's real name is no longer known. It's not Gong Zhuanzi. He called himself Zhuanzi, and previously he was known as the North Sea Immortal Duke. Those who call the North Sea Emperor that, cough, I think only a few powerhouses call him that. He did not elaborate. Those who called Gong Zhuanzi were actually other people. This was not the other party's real name and title. He felt that Fong Ping calling him that was a little strange. Fong Ping looked indifferent, unconcerned. He smiled. So, Gong Zhuanzi is a senior of the same generation as you? I dare not be on the same level as the North Sea Emperor. Wu Xian hurriedly bowed and said respectfully, the Emperor is not someone we can compare to. Before Wu Xian went into hibernation, the North Sea Emperor was already famous in the 3 realms. The North Sea Emperor. Fong Ping thought for a while and asked, if I may ask, how should I address your esteemed master? Wu Xian said respectfully, Master's name is Wu Xian. I dare not speak nonsense. Prince, you could just call me Heavenly Emperor Xianming. As soon as this was said, Li Hansong's eyebrows twitched. Heavenly Emperor? He was still more sensitive to this. Once he heard this title, he felt that it was not good. Wu Xian said softly, Master is the master of black brightness. The masters of the other heavens are all heavenly emperors. As soon as this explanation came out, Li Hansong immediately curled his lips. Fong Ping's heavenly emperor status was suddenly lowered. Look, listen, everyone was a heavenly emperor. The heavenly emperor that you mentioned before was not a big deal after all. Fong Ping also glanced at Li Hansong. What was Ironhead thinking? Fong Ping could not be bothered with him. He said again, when you were in hibernation, did the sect appear? It was the current blessed Grotto heaven. It did not appear. Wu Xian shook his head. However, There were some signs back then. The North Sea Emperor and a few other emperors had come to Black Brightness and discussed this with Master. Wu Xian does not know what happened in the end, but Master did not create a grotto heaven. Gong Zhuanzi had come here in the past. The people of Black Brightness would remember the arrival of such a big shot for life. Wu Xian said again. What happened after that, Wu Xian does not know. Then why did Gong Zhuanzi and the others want to create a grotto heaven back then? Why did you all hibernate? Fong Ping saw his hesitation and laughed again. It can't be that you want to hibernate for thousands of years for no reason, right? Wu Xian shook his head again, bowed and said, Wu Xian does not know what the emperor is asking. The hibernation was also arranged by Master. We do not know. There were some things that they really did not know. A rank 8 was not considered weak. Even in the apotheosis era, a golden body powerhouse was also in existence that deterred an area. However, when it came to powerhouses like true gods and emperors, they did not have any right to know. They did not know anything. Fong Ping originally wanted to get some information, but now he was not in the mood. He stepped up the white jade stairs and walked straight to the library. It was useless to ask. He did not know if Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness would appear later. Also, Fong Ping was thinking about a question. This guy, did he know Li Han Song and the others? The old antiques in the bounded domain seemed familiar, but Fong Ping had not really come into contact with them until now. He had never asked about them. However, from the actions of the Xuanda Grotto Heaven's owner that day, he might know Li Han Song and the others' identity. As for whether the owner of this place knew, Fong Ping could not judge. This Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness seemed to have hibernated before the bounded domain appeared. He might not know about these. Just as Fong Ping entered the 10,000 Dharma Tower, in the sky above Black Brightness, above the white clouds, a building that looked like a heavenly palace was suspended in the air. Naturally, the body of a great emperor would not be like ordinary martial artists, living underground in groups, even if Black Brightness was a land of immortals in many people's eyes. At this moment, in front of the Imperial Palace, on the Imperial Road, Wu Ding bowed and waited. After a moment, a majestic voice said, "Come in." Wu Ding did not dare to delay and immediately stepped into the Imperial Palace. As soon as he entered the main hall, a middle-aged man wearing an emperor's crown appeared in front of Wu Ding in the center of the main hall. The man was not sitting but standing on the high platform, hands behind his back, looking down at Black Brightness. On both sides of the man, there were also some powerhouses. Seeing Wu Ding enter, without waiting for Black Brightness's Heavenly Emperor to ask, an old man immediately asked, "Wu Ding, did you find anything?" Wu Ding bowed and said, Wu Ding couldn't see anything. "I only know that these people are extremely young." He was still speaking when in the main hall, a fierce powerhouse holding a battle axe took a step forward and said loudly, "Heavenly Emperor, how can we let these mortals tarnish Black Brightness? 10,000 Dharma Tower is the Emperor's trove. It cannot be opened to outsiders easily." When he said this, Wu Ding lowered his head, not saying a word. This person probably did not hear the conversation below, right? Emperor's trove? These descendants did not care at all. No, they looked down on them when sending them to 10,000 Dharma Tower. Forget about being excited. The leader even felt a little bored, looking like he was just going to take a look. Emperor's trove? Although Wu Ding thought so, he did not dare to say anything. This place was the central area of Black Brightness. A golden body powerhouse like him did not have much say. In Black Brightness, Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness reigned supreme. In the past, the Heavenly Emperor even commanded several true gods. But later on, the true gods died in battle, and the Heavenly Emperor returned with heavy injuries. Now, there were no true gods anymore. There were only a few Source Realm powerhouses who did not go to battle back then. The few people who spoke just now were all Source Realm. On the high platform, Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness did not seem to hear these words and continued to be silent. In front of the crowd, that old man who spoke just now slowly said, "Heavenly Emperor, has the strength of the current human emperor really reached emperor rank already? Why would Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness open up Black Brightness and let those people enter? Wasn't it still because of the threat of the human emperor outside? Some of the words previously, even if they all heard it, Zhang Tao's words shook the space. This side could still sense it. The moment these words came out, the axe-wielding powerhouse scolded angrily. Boy, human emperor? Human emperor has long perished. Just a fake emperor. Even if it's the human emperor, it's also just the human realm's emperor. How can it stand above heavenly emperor? The axe-wielding powerhouse's words seemed to have aroused the other few people's resonance. A delicate and pretty woman also said softly, Heavenly Emperor, black brightness transcends beyond and isn't restricted by the three realms. This generation's human emperor doesn't seem to be a true human emperor powerhouse. How can he stand side by side with black brightness? A powerhouse who walked something similar to the human emperor path did not mean that he was a human emperor. Even if he was a true human emperor, that was also a human realm sovereign. What qualifications did he have to interfere with their affairs? But now, the current human emperor spoke impertinently, forcefully forcing heavenly emperor to open up black brightness. This made these people extremely dissatisfied. Everyone was dissatisfied, but heavenly emperor Black Bright looked around, his eyes somewhat helpless. So what if he didn't open it? Now, it was not like back then. Heaven and earth changed drastically. The blue sea turned into mulberry fields. Some true god powerhouses in the past died one after another. Back then, Black Brightness Gonghua Heaven was also an overlord faction of a region, transcending heaven and earth, unfettered and unfettered, who dared to come here and behave atrociously. But the true gods under his command died one after another. He also just exited seclusion not long ago. Several thousand years passed. The path of the great Tao of Source was hard to walk, virtually not advancing an inch. But the human emperors in the outside world advanced by leaps and bounds, their strength increasing explosively. Under such circumstances, how to deal with it? Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness's tone carried a dignified intent as he slowly said, This generation's human emperor is indeed a false emperor. Back then, the great Tao had a change. The three realms had no emperor. Before the emperor died, he once said that heaven and earth returned to one. The great Tao continuing the path of the emperor. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness said softly, Although the false emperor in the outside world is a false Tao, now that we've come into being, we need this person's help. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness first said this sentence. Following that, his voice changed, his tone awe-inspiring as he said, But the false emperor humiliated us like this. He deserves death. If not for this emperor's injuries having yet to recover, how could I be threatened like this? An exalted, great emperor-level powerhouse actually had people come knocking on his door. Humiliation. Even in the god investiture era, he, Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness, was also a first-rate major figure, ruling over Black Brightness and not subject to anyone's jurisdiction. Forget about false emperors. Even if the true emperors had yet to die out, those sovereigns would not criticize them, these emperor-level powerhouses, either. But now, with the vicissitudes of time, the human realm's latecomers actually humiliated an emperor-level powerhouse like this. This was a tremendous humiliation. Harsh words were harsh words. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness recovered to normal very quickly and said in a weathered tone, I'll allow the false emperor to be awe-inspiring for a moment. But if you want this emperor to give a lucky chance, fate can't be easily given. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness said coolly, The false emperor thinks that everything is under control, laughable. Done talking, he slowly said, Come, men, take out the origin armor, profound brightness divine pill, and heaven realm remnant map that this emperor collected back then. The moment these words came out, everyone's faces changed one after another. Below, the axe-wielding powerhouse revealed a look of indignation and hurriedly said, Great Emperor, how can you do this? These things were all too precious. Ever since Black Brightness was sealed off, there were actually not many good things already. And these three items were all the great Emperor's treasures. To be able to make an Emperor-level powerhouse, collect them for several thousand years, It could be imagined how precious they were. But now, the great emperor actually took them all out. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness said coolly, "No worries. These are already useless to this emperor. In addition, fate, it's all obtained by those who are fated. There are only 3 treasures, but there are 4 people who came. Wu Ding, go down and ask them if they're willing to accept the test." For people, only 3 people can obtain the treasures. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness had a smile on his face. 3 people obtained lucky chances, but 1 person gained nothing. And originally, all of this should have been his. But now it was all taken away by others, and he did not get anything. These treasures, even he valued them greatly back then. But a deity realm martial artist helplessly watched as the treasures fell into the hands of others. What would he think? What the false emperor wanted? He would just give it to him. 3 treasures were enough. Wu Ding hurriedly bowed when he heard that and said, "As you command." Seeing that Wu Ding was about to leave, Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness thought about it and said, "In addition, I'll ask again, can you bring some subjects out of Black Brightness?" The moment these words came out, everyone was surprised once more. Great Emperor, this is, heaven and earth are about to become one. This emperor has already sensed the omens. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness said coolly, "Some old friends from back then are probably going to come into being today. Since the false emperor is coming, it's a calamity and also a lucky chance. Everything in the outside world is changing too quickly now. I'm afraid it's inconvenient for us to come into being. Let some people come out of Black Brightness to gather the information that this emperor needs. If he went out, that would not be too convenient. Moreover, if an exalted emperor-level powerhouse had to take action himself to gather some intelligence, wouldn't that be a joke? Just nice, taking advantage of now to let some people come into being to prepare for his coming out later. It was fine if he did not come out, but coming out he was still the great emperor back then. At the forefront of the crowd, that old man thought about it and opened his mouth to say, "Great Emperor, the false emperor is likely extremely interested in the matters back then. Once he asks, what should we do?" The meaning of these words was clearly saying that he was going to come out of Black Brightness this time. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness did not deny it either. The old man was currently the #1 powerhouse under his command. In the past, he had hopes of reaching the true God realm. But the great battle back then erupted too quickly. The old man did not have the chance to advance in the end and fell into a deep slumber. Coming into being now, when the great change arrived, when he came out of Black Brightness, perhaps a true God would also appear as a subordinate. What should be said, say it. What shouldn't be said need not be said. Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness said indifferently, "How can future generations know everything back then? Whether it's true or false, how can it be verified? If this emperor doesn't come out, I reckon that the false emperor won't do anything to you guys. No matter how strong the human world is, a mere dozen years will not be enough to turn the world upside down. When you all come out of Black Brightness, you must not belittle yourselves." The old man nodded. Seeing this, the axe-wielding powerhouse also said, "Great Emperor, this general is also willing to come out and clean up everything for the great emperor." "Sure." Heavenly Emperor Black Brightness responded, disappearing from the main hall in the blink of an eye. The false emperor was still investigating Black Brightness's location. He had to make some preparations. Previously, luring that soul conduit martial artist to enter again, initially thinking that it was a secret. Such a fortuitous encounter. He expected that the other party would not tell others either. Unexpectedly, he actually provoked the false emperor to rush over. It was somewhat a miscalculation. Fortunately, it was not bad now. Seizing the opportunity to officially come into being with the false emperor around, perhaps it would be more convenient. Inside Myriad Dharma Loft, Fong Ping looked at the bookshelves that were more than half empty. The bookshelves here were similar to those in the Boundary Zone. Some were crystal books, some were a special kind of bamboo slips. But at this moment, it was much emptier. There were very few left. Fong Ping casually picked up a crystal book, looked at it for a while, and frowned slightly. The other party seemed to have moved some of the key things away. What was left here were some useless things. Even if it was an anecdote, it was something that seemed useless. However, Fong Ping still saw some things that were more useful, of course, only on the surface. Fong Ping became illiterate once again. This time, not only him, but even old Wang and the rest looked a little illiterate, not understanding much. The words in the crystal books, including the words on the bamboo slips, were not really understood by everyone. Fong Ping held a crystal book in his hand. The reason why he found this book interesting was because there were pictures on it. Fong Ping looked at Wu Xan, who was behind him, smiled and said, "Senior Wu Xan, is this book a record of divine weapons?" Wu Xan glanced at it and said quickly, "Yes, back then, there were some divine weapons that were famous in the three realms. Master has recorded them." Three realms. Fong Ping glanced at him, smiled and said, "Is the three realms an illusion, or does the three realms really exist?" Fong Ping did not wait for him to speak. Added, "You guys regard Earth as the human world. What about the catacombs?" Wu Xan smiled awkwardly, not saying a word. Fong Ping smiled again. "Another question. Do you guys know about the Forbidden Sea and Mount Royal Sea? When you guys were asleep, did these appear?" Wu Xan said, "Yes, they have." "How did they cause it? Do you guys know about the two kings of the catacombs?" Wu Xan fell silent again. Fong Ping's gaze was a little unfriendly. It was still the same. These people were all like this. These old antiques, they did not know anything. Even if they knew, they would not tell you, as if it was useless for you to know, or you were not qualified to know. Why? In the neo-martial era, billions of humans fought for hundreds of years to resist the invasion of the catacombs. There were countless deaths and injuries. Generations of martial artists died generously, but now they did not even have the right to know the truth. Why? These people all hid, none of them willing to come out. All of them knew the inside story, but they did not tell you. You die, I hide. No matter how many people you killed, it did not matter to them. The peak was heartless. In the past, Fong Ping felt that the peak was heartless, but at this moment, Fong Ping suddenly realized that he was wrong. The peak was heartless. The true king was heartless. The true god was heartless. And the great emperor was heartless. Although they were all synonyms of the same realm, Fong Ping suddenly felt that there was a difference. The peak was the peak. A true god was a true god. Each of them had lived for thousands of years, living like a living fossil. How could there be any feelings? The great path was heartless. These people did not see themselves as humans a long time ago. Perhaps in their eyes, there was no difference between the catacombs humans and the earthlings. If they did not become true gods, they were all ants. They did not care whether they lived or died. "I should have known," Fong Ping muttered in his heart. Actually, he should not have had any hope. A long time ago, he had thought that when he reached the Golden Body realm, he was almost completely different from humans. Was it still necessary to see himself as a human? However, the martial artists of the neo-martial era all had concerns. Living in this era, everyone had me and you and me. They had long been inseparable from this era, unable to truly see themselves as gods and Buddhas, completely detached from everything. But these old antiques. Most of the acquaintances from back then had long died. The world had changed, and even the world was different. Was it still necessary to see themselves as the same race? What human antiques, catacombs antiques? Actually, they're all the same. In their eyes, perhaps there is only a difference in strength, not a difference in race. This understanding chilled Fong Ping's heart. However, it turned out that perhaps this was right. In the eyes of the catacombs antiques, in the eyes of the human antiques, what they cared about was not the war between the two worlds, but the strength of the powerhouses. Perhaps in their eyes, only powerhouses of the same rank were truly the same kind of people. Differentiating races, that was something only the weak would do. At this moment, Fong Ping suddenly felt Zhang Tao's anger and sorrow that day at Mount Yuhai. What race war? What human survival? What did it have to do with them? Did Zhang Tao not know that these people were the surviving human powerhouses? Of course he knew. However, at that moment, the ones he hated the most were not the catacombs' true kings, but these fellows. These old fellows who hid in the dark, none of them willing to show themselves. only wanting to control everything at the last moment. They did not care about the life and death of mortals in their eyes. They were even colder than the catacombs' true kings. Some of the catacombs' true kings' powerhouses were cruel to humans, but some true kings were more amiable to their own people. As for these old antiques, they treated everyone the same. They could all die, but they could not. Sooner or later, I will break all of your turtle shells. I will drag you out and parade you on the streets. I will let you know that being the masterminds behind the scenes depends on whether we are willing or not. I will let everyone know that myths are lies. Gods and Buddhas are all heartless people. At this moment, Fong Ping suddenly firmed up his belief. In this era, only the martial artists could be relied on. Humans in the neo-martial era could only rely on themselves. Counting on some external forces was not reliable. This included Schwanagrado. Some of the old antiques might seem amiable to humans, but it might just be for the sake of setting up a trap. However, this kind of people had to be treated differently. Those who did not do evil to humans could be forgiven and cooperated. However, some people could not be forgiven. Fong Ping's thoughts fluctuated. When he sensed that many people had arrived outside, the corners of his eyes suddenly raised slightly. A good show was about to begin. Whether Shinming Heaven was evil or good, perhaps this time it could be completely distinguished. However, a group of fellows who had been isolated for countless years, long abandoned by the times, could they really scheme against anyone? Fong Ping shook his head. A group of egomaniacs. Isolation, closed-door training. Did they really think that living longer made them smarter than others? Tortoises lived for a long time, but they did not seem smarter than humans to seize the world. Fong Ping casually kept the crystal book into the storage space, smiling. Senior Wu Ding is here. Let's go out. Wu Xin wanted to say something, but stopped. He did not know what to say at that moment. The prince took away a book. Did he need to remind him about this? Chapter 864. Inside the 10,000 Dharma Tower. Fong Ping was just about to go out when a group of people floated in. There were quite a lot of people. At a glance, there were more than 10 of them. They were old and young. Wu Ding, who had received Fong Ping earlier, was now standing behind the three. The three people in front were 2 men and a woman. One was an old man with white hair and a beard. The other was a brawny man with an axe. And the last one was an unusually cold woman. Greetings, holy ambassadors. Wu Xin bowed in salute. The 3 powerhouses in front were all rank 9. The old man smiled and nodded slightly at Fong Ping and the rest. The brawny man was ferocious, glaring at them. The cold woman did not seem to see them, like a 10,000-year-old iceberg. Wu Ding hurried out, smiling. Honorable guests, this is... Wu Ding introduced them. These 3 powerhouses were the strongest group of warriors left in the Dark Sky sect. Rank 9 in Black Light could be called Holy Ambassadors. Su Bing, Suo Jia, Tiao Ke were the names of these 3. While they were introducing them, Wang Jinyang said telepathically, Su, Tiao are the surnames of nobles in the early Shang dynasty. These people should be from that era. In fact, those who had surnames in that era were all nobles. Fong Ping was not surprised. How could a group of immortals not be nobles? Others did not have surnames, but could they not? The key thing was, these people other than that old man Su Bing were the others idiots? I am a rank 8 golden body, the emperor's trusted aide, the emperor's direct descendant. No matter what era, they were still considered nobles, right? Yet, these guys were actually hostile toward him. How did your door get opened? Don't you know? Your emperor was forced to open the door by old Zhang and came in directly to ask for benefits. Don't you know? How dare you be hostile toward me with this? Fong Ping glanced at the axe-wielding powerhouse on the left and made a slight judgment. Around rank 9-6 stage, walk more than 500 meters, should be about this. He has an ancient divine weapon in his hand. A tomahawk is comparable to a modern rank 9 divine weapon. His vitality is not weak, at least 150,000 calories and above 160,000 calories. Origin of Tao increases by 0. 5 times 240,000 calories, adding on the enhancement of divine weapon and secret arts. It should not be too much, 20,000 calories at most, 260,000 calories in total. This kind of old antique should have good control over his power. After all, he's lived for so many years, so he should have at least 80% control. Fong Ping did a quick calculation. His explosive force was about 200,000 to 220,000 calories. As for a 100% eruption, that was something only a non-human could accomplish. Even old antiques might not be able to accomplish. He can fight. Fong Ping made a quick comparison. If this guy met him, he could fight him. It was hard to say who would win or lose, mainly because they were not familiar with the ancient people's fighting style, and they were also somewhat afraid that they might have some special methods. However, now that he had activated the House of Gold, even if he was no match for the other party would not be able to do anything to him. It was nothing. Among the three of them, the only one Fong Ping was wary of was Su Bing. This old man looked shaky, but the feeling he gave Fong Ping was at least on par with Wu Chuan's level. It could be considered the highest level of the Origin Dao. For now, Fong Ping was still helpless against this kind of powerhouse. In that case, even if old Zhang killed Heavenly Emperor Xian Ming, Fong Ping might not be able to defeat Xian Ming alone. Right now, Fong Ping's mind was filled with countless thoughts in the blink of an eye. To strangers, if they were hostile to him, he did not mind measuring their combat strength. If he could beat them, he would be arrogant. If he could not beat them, he would admit defeat. It was that simple. As Fong Ping was calculating, old man Su Bing was the first to speak. He smiled and said, "My young friends, my bad hospitality." Fong Ping chuckled and said, "You're too kind, sir." Su Bing was about to continue when the axe-wielding Su Jia suddenly said, "How long has it been since you came to Xian Ming? You didn't even announce your names. How rude." Su Jia was dissatisfied. Etiquette must not be abolished. Rules must not be broken. Xian Ming was where the Heavenly Emperor resided. A few martial artists from the human world actually did not announce their names. This was rude. Fong Ping seemed to have just remembered this. He was not angry. He smiled and said, "I'm rude. My name is Fong Ping. They are Li Hansong." After introducing their names, Su Jia frowned again and said, "Could it be that the few of you only have your surnames? Where are you from?" Fong Ping was all smiles and said, "You are here to check our accounts?" Su Jia did not quite understand, revealing a doubtful look. Fong Ping smiled again and said, "We're from the human world, from the neo-martial era. We're disciples of the Emperor. This should be enough, right?" Wang Jinyang gave him a look. Fong Ping did not bat an eyelid and did not respond. It was only right for them to announce their origins. However, Fong Ping was unhappy with the other party's tone. "Interrogate my ass. I'm asking you guys, but you don't know anything. Why do you have to say so much?" Seeing this, Su Bing coughed softly and said, "My young friends, please excuse us." He interjected to ease the atmosphere. Su Bing saw that everyone was waiting at Myriad Dharma Loft and said, "This place is not suitable for guests. Wu Ding, lead the way." Wu Ding nodded hurriedly and said to Fong Ping and the rest, "Honorable guests, please follow me." Fong Ping and the rest followed him. At this time, some of the younger ancients in the crowd looked at Fong Ping and the rest curiously, especially their hair. Some people saw their short hair and frowned slightly, but they did not say anything. Did the human world not even abide by this little rule nowadays? The young girl who revealed her head in the basilica earlier had also followed them. She was young and looked at them curiously. In the crowd, there were a few young boys and girls like this. They were all curious, and their curious expressions were unmistakable. Fong Ping initially had a bad feeling about this place, but when he saw these young people, the anger in his heart dissipated a little. When he thought about how these people did not show up even when humanity was in danger, the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. However, when he thought about it, it was the problem of those old antiques. These young people did not understand these things, so he did not bother to vent his anger on them. These people did not seem to have any ulterior motives. Fong Ping was not surprised. In a world with only a few hundred people, most of them were still cultivating. What did these young people know? Their sky was only 140 square kilometers. Their world only had more than 500 people. In their entire lives, they might only know about Black Heaven and not know anything else. This kind of people was actually pitiful. Unlike the old antiques, like Wu Ding, who might have gone out and experienced it in the past, these young people were really ignorant. Everyone came out of Myriad Dharma Loft. Su Bing smiled as he walked. My young friends, entering Black Heaven this time is also fate. The Emperor has prepared a few treasures for you. Even I am very tempted. Su Bing seemed very emotional. So Jia said straightforwardly, the Emperor has prepared such precious things this time. They should not be given to people casually, let alone to human martial artists. So Jia. Su Bing scolded softly, a little dissatisfied. With Suo Jia's personality, did he not know that it was easy to offend people? Now was not the past. In the past, they, the Emperor's disciples, ran amok wherever they went. The human world allowed them to do whatever they wanted, high and mighty. Even the human emperors had to salute when they saw them. However, now is not the past. The Emperor had just revived not long ago. Black Heaven was also hibernating now. Although he had some understanding of the human world, in the blink of an eye, even Su Bing had not gone out for 100 years. The people who came from the human world this time were not weak. These young people were actually at the Soul Conduit and Golden Body realms. Obviously, they were also the descendants of powerhouses. It was not a good thing to say these things at this time. Moreover, the fake Emperor was still outside Black Heaven. They were also preparing to take this opportunity to come out. There was no benefit in offending these people now. Su Bing scolded, but Fong Ping was not unhappy. He said with some excitement, good treasure? Could it be a divine weapon? How is it compared to divine weapons like Heavenly King's Seal and Sky Destroyer Sword? Fong Ping laughed heartily, as if he really did not understand. The combat boots on his feet shone, the rank 9 Chongdao appeared in his hand, and the battle armor appeared on his body. We modern martial artists don't really know how to refine weapons. Even I can only make these rubbish things as a substitute. There are really no good treasures. As Fong Ping said, another thing appeared in his hand. As soon as this thing appeared, everyone's expression changed. Black Heaven seemed to be trembling a little. A corpse that seemed to be still alive suddenly appeared. King Pine? That day, the old cat stripped King Pine's Tao of origin, shattering his Tao and destroying his mentality, but the other's golden body was not completely shattered. Fong Ping also put it away last time, putting it away as junk. The Tao of origin was taken away, the mentality was destroyed. As for the heart, brain nucleus, and the like, they were also shattered. The current King Pine was an empty shell. This thing was a treasure to the average person, but it was not very useful to Fong Ping. However, at this time, Fong Ping was smiling, casually carrying the corpse that was still earth-shaking even though it was dead, saying casually, "Seniors, do you have a way to refine this true God's corpse into a weapon? I killed it a few days ago. The corpse is still fresh. It's just that its strength is a little weak. It has just stepped into the Tao of origin not long ago. Are there any weapons among the treasures given by the great Emperor? Can it slay a true God? If I get it, can I fight beyond ranks and slaughter a true God?" Fong Ping threw out a series of questions, the smile on his face still bright. "Don't talk. I want to extort. Fees. What fees? Residential fees. Since the Black Heaven these people were in was still on Earth, they had to pay fees. The martial artists of the neo-martial era fought for hundreds of years, countless deaths and injuries, to protect the neo-martial artists, not people like you. You obviously have powerhouses, but you are unwilling to fight. Unwilling to fight, then you have to pay fees today. You can't give less, can't give worse." Fong Ping wanted to pick a fight. Yes, he wanted to pick a fight. If the things were not good enough later, he would flip the table and let old Zhang come in and do it. Suojia's attitude of giving them good things, it was a waste, it should not be done, made him extremely unhappy. "Do you think I have never seen good things?" Fong Ping welcomed them with a smile, while Wang Jinyang and the others did not say a word, but they were extremely vigilant. Fong Ping, this fellow, seemed to be deliberately provoking these people. Later, these people might not be able to hold it in and really start fighting. Su Bing and the others looked solemn at this time. True God. These people actually carried the remains of a true god with them. One had to know that in any era, true gods were the top kind of powerhouses. True gods could only be killed by true gods. The probability of a true god's remains being left behind was also very low. Unless it was killed by an emperor-level powerhouse, then there was only a slight hope of leaving the other party's remains. But now, a golden body powerhouse had it. Not only that, but he also carried it with him. This was a true god powerhouse. Although the remains did not carry the aura of the Tao of origin, the structure of a true king powerhouse and the method of honing could actually be somewhat determined through the flesh. This was a great reference for them. However, with their status, they were absolutely not qualified to observe a true king's flesh. Suo Jia's expression changed for a while. This time he finally calmed down a little. Not only the true king's remains, the weapons in the other party's hands, the combat boots on his feet, the battle armor on his body, in his opinion, were all treasures. But the other party was obviously somewhat disdainful. These few people, including Su Bing, were somewhat reserved and arrogant before. They were the disciples of a great emperor. Even a fake emperor might also be a great emperor powerhouse, but an old-school great emperor and a newly promoted great emperor, moreover, a great emperor that had only appeared in the human world, the two were still different. They were dignified, but those youths had already been completely crushed to the ground. Even if a true king was dead, there was still an existence of coercion. It did not have much effect on high ranks, but these youths' strength was not considered weak. It was normal for them to be rank 5 or 6. But facing the true king's remains, they still could not resist. Seeing that the few of them did not speak, Fong Ping's smile became even brighter, and he said again, "Seniors, this junior is a little looking forward to what kind of opportunity the great emperor will give us this time." He did not hide it at all, because the treasure this time was actually snatched by old Zhang. In that case, he wanted to see the treasure now. If it was really good, it meant that the owner of this place was not perfunctory. Consider whether to let old Zhang fight. If it was not good, then there was no sincerity. We'll see what we can do. Young friend, please take back the true god's remains. Su Bing said. Fong Ping took back the Pine King's remains, glancing at Suo Jia, the sneer in his eyes obvious. "I'm just that petty. What can you do? If you dare to make a move, I'll unleash my full strength immediately. Whether I can kill you or not, then we'll talk about it later. Old Zhang can definitely come in." Suo Jia saw his gaze, anger flashing across his face. Su Bing pressed on his shoulder without batting an eyelid. He had to endure it. This person's identity was noble, countless treasures, obviously someone that the emperor valued. Maybe there were elders in his family who were true god powerhouses. It was best not to have a conflict. At least before the great emperor came out of seclusion. At this time, he should not provoke a strong enemy for the great emperor. Su Bing pressed Suo Jia down, recovered his smile, and said, "Young friend, you really have a lot of treasures. It seems that the emperor values you very much. But this time the treasures that the great emperor prepared for you will not be worse than these. Origin armor, the armor that the great emperor used in the past, using the essence of heaven and earth, chaos chi, to forge it." The other party said a lot of inexplicable things. In Fong Ping's opinion, he was completely using nonsense to fool him. It was just a battle armor that a true god used in the origin realm, but it seemed to have a special function. It had something to do with the origin space. Ordinary divine weapons and battle armors were stored in the Sanjiao Gate, but the origin armor could be stored in the origin space. For martial artists who comprehended the origin Tao, battle armors could not only be used for protection, but also to stabilize the origin space. When ancient martial artists battled, they would often face powerhouses who were good at mentality. When such powerhouses battled, once they entered the origin space to fight, the stability of the origin space would be debatable. The origin armor also had a certain protective effect on the origin space. Fong Ping nodded slightly. It was not a bad thing, but modern martial artists almost did not fight like this. It could only be said to be somewhat useful. However, with the emergence of some ancient martial artists nowadays, it could be used. Xian Ming Divine Pill. This is a treasure, Su Bing said with a smile. The great emperor refined the Xian Ming Divine Pill for the prince back then. At that time, it took a full 9 years to refine, and 3 pills were formed. This pill has no other function. Its only function is to fuse. Fuse? Fong Ping revealed a doubtful look. Su Bing said with slight pride, yes, fuse. It allows mentality and flesh to be more harmonious so that there is no imbalance. You might not know this, but in the past, many powerhouses had problems with their flesh and mentality not matching. There were martial artists who had a 7th refinement golden body, but their mentality was not strong. There were martial artists who had strong mentality, but their flesh was beyond what they could bear, and they could not unleash their full strength. And the Xianming Divine Pill can balance the two. Su Bing stroked his long beard lightly, smiled again, and said, "This is the Xianming Divine Pill." Back then, many great emperors came to ask for pills, but only 3 pills were formed. The prince once consumed one, and the remaining 2. One was given to a friend of the great emperor. This is the last one. There was once a great emperor who asked for a pill for his descendant, but he did not give it to him. Fong Ping raised his eyebrows slightly, asking, mentality and flesh are not compatible, but consuming this pill will make them compatible. Su Bing chuckled and said, "This is the wonder of the Xian Ming Divine Pill. Just like the unification of 10,000 Daos and 10,000 techniques into one, it can allow the 2 forces to interconvert," Fong Ping generally understood. For example, if one's mentality was high, they could use this to convert a part of their mentality into their flesh strength, and vice versa. As for how to convert and why the pill could do it, Fong Ping did not understand the principle, and neither did Su Bing. However, this was indeed a godly elixir, at least for some of the ancient warriors. This even had the ability to balance the north and south sex. However, Fong Ping felt that it should not be that amazing. He thought for a while and asked, "Are there any restrictions? I heard that during the sex era, some powerhouses were in a state of imbalance. If the Xianming Divine Pill could balance, then there would not be a conflict between the north and south sex." As soon as he said this, Su Bing looked slightly strange, but he quickly recovered his smile and said, "Young friend, please understand. There are indeed some restrictions. It can only be used on martial artists who have not stepped into the origin path. Once the origin is formed, it will be difficult to balance." Suo Jiao interrupted again. "Even if it is only effective on martial artists below the origin realm, it is still an extremely important treasure. This item has only been refined by the great emperor, and there were only 3 completed pills. Countless powerhouses coveted it, but now he wanted to get angry again. But he thought of something, frowned, and did not say anything else. Back then, there were indeed many powerhouses who came to request for the Xian Ming Divine Pill. Even he wanted it very much back then, but he did not dare to ask, and the great emperor would not give it to him. Today, it was given to a martial artist from the human world. This made him extremely angry. Su Bing ignored him and continued, "This is the 2nd item, and the 3rd item is even more priceless." Su Bing said in a low voice, "The Heavenly Realm Map Fragment." Back then, heaven and earth were divided into 3. The 3 realms of heaven, earth, and human each had their own duties. The human world still exists, but the earth realm, the heavenly realm, was shattered, and the emperors died. Su Bing's expression was solemn, and he said solemnly, "After the heavenly realm was shattered, the great emperor invited many good friends and spent countless years to draw this item." When Fong Ping heard this, his expression suddenly became strange. The heavenly realm map fragment? The 3 realms of heaven, earth, and human? Earth was the human world, the catacombs. Could it be some land realm? As for the heavenly realm, don't tell me it was the divine continent recorded by the catacombs people? The divine continent was also shattered. The heavenly realm was also shattered. Such a coincidence? Also, When Heavenly Emperor Xian Ming gave this thing out, Fong Ping instantly felt a strong sense of malice. It was not targeted at him, but at old Zhang and the rest. Su Bing was still narrating. The heavenly realm was when the emperors were still around, the residence of the emperors. Maybe there's a way to continue the great Tao. Fong Ping smiled faintly. If that was the case, why did your master stay here for thousands of years? Do you take me for a fool? Or do you take old Zhang and the rest for fools? But sometimes, even if the hope was not high, if the powerhouses really had nowhere else to go, they would still go. Just like those true kings in the catacombs. They did not even know what a seed of rebirth looked like, but each and every one of them rushed to it like a flock of ducks. They did not hesitate to start a war with humans, plotting for thousands of years. The residence of the emperors. There might be a way to continue the great Tao. Even if there was only a glimmer of possibility, to some powerhouses it was worth a try. Fong Ping suddenly thought of something. His eyes narrowed, and he said, "Could the heavenly realm be in the Forbidden Sea?" Su Bing laughed. "This? I'm not sure either. The remnant map drawn by the Heavenly Emperor can only be opened by Emperor-level powerhouses. This is also a congratulatory gift that the Heavenly Emperor gave to the Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor was also extremely happy that the human world had another Emperor. If you are not an Emperor-level powerhouse, even if you found the way to continue the Great Tao, it would be useless. Therefore, if you get this item, you can pass it on to the Emperor." Fong Ping interrupted again. "If I get it? What did he mean? Was there a possibility that he could not get it? Was he deliberately keeping him in suspense?" Fong Ping felt that this thing was useless. If it was really in the Forbidden Sea, it would be luring people to their deaths. Heavenly Emperor Xian Ming definitely had bad intentions this time. But then again, if this thing was used well, it was also a treasure. Fong Ping thought of a problem almost instantly. They were all asking for the seed of rebirth. Great! If this map was thrown out, would it make some true kings in the catacombs go crazy? I'll send them all to the Forbidden Sea. I'll see how many come back alive. I'll say that it was given by Heavenly Emperor Xian Ming. I'll say that Heavenly Emperor Xian Ming was about to become an emperor. Thoughts emerged in Fong Ping's mind one by one. Anyway, he felt that Heavenly Emperor Xian Ming was not a good person now. He did not give anything but this thing. Fong Ping believed that old Zhang could restrain himself. He did not want to become an emperor that much. He wanted to become an emperor that was also to protect humans. However, going to the Forbidden Sea was a narrow escape. If he died in the Forbidden Sea, then everything would be for naught. In order not to take risks, after old Zhang achieved the peak, he almost did not go to some dangerous areas anymore. If he gave this map to old Zhang would probably just watch the fun. Not everyone was like old Zhang. Others aside, some Star Town's patriarch had stagnated for countless years. Back then, the Yang family's patriarch could not stand the fact that his realm could not be elevated. Hundreds of years passed like a day, and he went a little crazy, breaking into the bounded zone in a frenzy. If he had the map fragment at that time, Fong Ping had no doubt that the other party would also follow the map fragment to find opportunities. There were not just one or two such powerhouses. 3 treasures, mixed with the map fragment. Fong Ping calculated in his heart and glanced at Su Bing. Su Bing smiled and said, "Young friend, you don't know, but in this world, everything is determined. Fate cannot be passed on easily. If young friend takes the Emperor's treasures for no reason, I'm afraid that there will be great difficulties in the future if your fate is shallow. Therefore, there will be some tests." As he spoke, Qin Fengqing, who had been silent all this while, suddenly asked, "Just 3? And 1 is given to the Emperor? Doesn't that mean there are only 2? Su Bing sighed and said, "Black Heaven has been closed for many years. There are not many Emperor's treasures left. Only these 3 treasures are useful to all of you." Jia also said coldly, 3 treasures. Even the Emperor will be tempted. Are all of you still not satisfied? Qin Fengqing ignored him, thought for a while, and said, "I haven't reached rank 9 yet. I'm not in a hurry to get the origin armor. That Xianming divine pill. I think it's quite useful. Previously, the senior said that he would give me some opportunities. Su Bing sighed softly and said, everything has a cause and effect. This time, young friend, it's not that there's no chance. The Emperor will give all of you some tests. The treasures will be obtained by those who are fated. As soon as he said that, Fong Ping said indifferently, I am fated. There's no need for tests. All 3 treasures belong to me. Having said that, he looked at Li Hansong and the rest, asking lightly, any objections? Li Hansong laughed dryly and said, then, up to you. Wang Jinyang thought for a while and said, give me your rank 8 armor, and I won't fight for it. Seeing that, Qin Fengqing wanted to speak too, but Fong Ping's eyes sharpened, saying lightly, Qin Fengqing, I'll give you some energy stones later. You don't need these now. When I become a true god, I'll give you some when I don't need them anymore. Qin Fengqing's expression changed slightly, but he looked at Su Bing. Su Bing also looked a little surprised. Half of it was acting, the other half was really surprised. This Fong Ping, where did he come from? 4 genius martial artists, the rest were not weak. But he wanted all of them. Could he be a descendant of the Emperor? Even so, this was too much, right? Fong Ping, on the other hand, said impatiently, seniors, you can give me the treasures now. As for the test, there's no need for it, right? In the human world, I don't need tests to get treasures. Forget about origin armor, divine pills, even if it's better treasures. No one will test me. He did not have the patience to play any tests with them. They would talk after getting the treasures. Get the treasures first, then everything else could be discussed. To fight or not to fight, to snatch or not to snatch, then judge according to the situation. Young friend, this, senior, don't tell me you have no intention of giving it to us? Fong Ping smiled and said, since you have the intention, then you're giving it to the 4 of us. Now that they don't want it, what's the point of testing? As for the cause and effect, I'll bear it. We, the neo-martial artists, don't believe in these things. Even if there is, we can break it with force. There's nothing to fear. While talking, everyone arrived at a new hall. Fong Ping glanced at it. It was just the kind that stayed in the living room, nothing special. At this moment, Fong Ping directly asked for the treasures. Su Bing pondered for a moment, looking at Wang Jinyang and the rest again, especially Qin Fengqing, saying slowly, you guys really want to give up? The origin armor and the Xian Ming divine pill will be of great use to you. They were all silent. Fong Ping sat down directly, smiling faintly. Of course we're giving up. Who dares to object? As soon as he said that, the Black Light sect teenagers in the crowd were somewhat indignant. This human martial artist was so arrogant. Chapter 865. This is an opportunity given by the Emperor. How can it be decided privately? Just as Fong Ping said this, Song Jiao really went into a rage. This was the Emperor's order. It was not something that belonged to you just because you said so. If that was the case, where would the Emperor's face go? Fong Ping looked at him. The fake smile was no longer on his face. He said coldly, you're wrong. This is not a gift. To put it nicely, it's a gift. To put it bluntly, this is the law of the jungle. Fong Ping said mockingly, you should believe in this very much. We are stronger than you, at least stronger than Xian Mingtian. So, you have to hand over the treasures. Do you understand? Fong Ping did not hide anymore. He said coldly, I'm giving you face. I'm being courteous. If I don't give you face, you have to give it. If you don't, fine. How can people like you hide in my bed? Now pack up and go as far as you can. Go to your catacombs. Go to your heavenly realm. Earth doesn't need you. You are a threat to humanity, a tumor. I'll tell you this frankly. You've given away the treasures. I see that you still have good intentions. What test? If you talk nonsense again, I'll break your turtle shell. Insolence. Everyone was enraged. Fong Ping stood up abruptly. He said coldly, insolence? Wrong. This is the last tolerance. I've said that the situation is different now. We're fighting the catacombs powerhouses at the front line. We won't allow powerhouses who don't know the difference between friend and foe to cause trouble in our rear. If you find one, get rid of one. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. Su Bing no longer smiled. He said coldly, "Is there no hierarchy in the human world now, where the emperor is a mere golden body martial artist dares to be so insolent?" Fong Ping crossed his arms. He held his head high and puffed out his chest. He was not afraid at all. "Cut the nonsense. Xian Mingtian wants to show his attitude. Whether you're friend or foe, it's all up to you. If he's an enemy, then kill him. If he's a friend, then show him," Fong Ping said. "Other than these treasures, Xian Mingtian will have to pay the emperor a monthly fee, regardless of grade, 1,000 energy fruits every month. That kind of rice was grown in the fields, and it was 10,000 caddies a month. In addition, the people of Dark Heaven sect are not allowed to appear on Earth without permission. Those who dare to leave without permission will be killed without mercy." Bastard! Suo Jia was furious. A golden body martial artist actually dared to say such words in front of a great emperor. Fong Ping's expression was cold. He looked at him and said in a chilly tone, "If you dare to say another word, I will kill you today. Martial artists like you, who are hostile to humans, deserve to die." He was very displeased with this fellow. His tone of speaking as if all martial artists in the mortal world were trash, and trash had already made him extremely dissatisfied. This kind of person, no matter how strong he was, would not do anything for humanity. He would only fight for his great emperor and himself. He would never fight to protect some trash in his eyes. This was the ideology of a cult. At this moment, Fong Ping suddenly realized something. The pope of an evil sect might be an old antique. Only these people would think that everyone else was a burden, a piece of trash, and that it didn't matter if they died. Ordinary people and elites were two different classes, two different races. Therefore, the cult advocated the idea of keeping the elites and abandoning the ordinary people. As for the life and death of billions of people, what did it have to do with them? At this moment, Fong Ping completely understood these people's ideology. Different ideology. If it was possible, he wanted to seek common ground while reserving differences and rope in some old antiques, but they were worth roping in. Some people were not worth it. Moreover, without strength, how could they seek common ground while reserving differences? Strength was the basis of confidence. Killing the chicken to warn the monkey, establishing prestige, and demonstrating strength were all necessary. There must be both good and bad guys. Fong Ping's attitude that looked like he was about to kill Suo Jia made everyone furious. At this time, Qin Fengqing suddenly said, "Fong Ping, before the minister entered, he didn't ask us to be disrespectful to the seniors, right? The good guy was here." Fong Ping's gaze sharpened. He scolded, "Do you have the right to speak? I'm MCMU's vice-chancellor, the real emperor's direct descendant. Who do you think you are? If you dare to interrupt again, I'll send you into the catacombs restricted area to fight." Qin Fengqing's gaze was unfriendly, but he did not speak again. Fong Ping snorted coldly. He looked at Suo Jia and the others again and said in an icy tone, "I've said all that needs to be said and expressed all that needs to be expressed. All of you, it's time to show your sincerity. Don't think that sending us off with some junk is a sign of sincerity. I, Fong Ping, have seen many good things. Do you really think I'll care about this little thing?" Su Bing said slowly, "Young friend, you're so domineering. You treat the emperor like nothing. This is not a sign of kindness." Fong Ping said calmly, "We haven't distinguished the enemy yet. I've restrained myself enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said so much nonsense to all of you after coming in." "Is it war or peace?" Fong Ping asked loudly. Among the three of them, the only female rank 9, Suo Jia suddenly said coldly, "How dare you ignore the emperor's power? That's disrespectful. Even if Black Sky Palace is not as good as it was in the past, you're not allowed to be presumptuous." "Presumptuous?" Fong Ping laughed suddenly. "Then I'll be more presumptuous. We want to borrow the passage. This place is connected to the catacombs. We need to borrow the passage. At the crucial moment, you must give way and let us borrow the passage. Presumptuous enough, right? But this is necessary. A new passage. a passage that led to an unknown place in the catacombs. Fong Ping seriously suspected that it could lead to the restricted area. If that was the case, at the crucial moment, he could bring the top powerhouses into the restricted area and kill them all. Maybe there would be an earth-shattering victory. Nowadays, human powerhouses could only enter through the passage or the Imperial Sea Mountain Passage. But this was all limited. The catacombs was also watching. As long as they appeared, as long as they gathered, they would be discovered immediately. But a new passage, a passage that no one knew about. Even without Fong Ping's ability to conceal his aura. If he could move at the fastest speed, he might be able to kill many true king powerhouses. Not only that, Fong Ping could even think of a way to lure some true king powerhouses to appear outside the passage. At that time, he could let old Zhang and the rest hide in Dark Heaven sect. At the crucial moment, no one would know even if he killed them. The catacombs was too big. Unless he killed too many and the sky changed color, otherwise no one would know if a true king died. The more he thought about it, the more important this place was. If Dark Heaven sect did not give a clear attitude today, then he would take the initiative to attack. Humans could do this. Fong Ping was actually more worried about the catacombs. After all, human powerhouses were all guarding Imperial Sea Mountain. If Dark Heaven sect's purpose was unclear, Fong Ping would not be surprised if they joined forces with the catacombs one day. Humans could kill the catacombs' true kings. Could the catacombs' true kings not kill human powerhouses? How many venerable ones were there on the ground? Once they were killed, not only would they be in danger, but all of humanity would be in danger. This was a big problem, a super big problem. Even if he forced these people to turn against him, Fong Ping felt that it was worth it to understand everything. He might even seize Dark Heaven sect and prepare for the humans' great counterattack. Junior, you want to borrow Dark Heaven sect? Su Bing did not even call him little friend anymore. He suppressed his anger, his expression ugly. If not for the Heavenly Emperor not speaking, he would have killed this person. Too arrogant. That's right. Do you know that this is the Emperor realm? Even the ancient emperors did not. Don't talk about the ancient with me. Fong Ping regained his composure and said again, I'll ask one last time, is Dark Heaven sect a friend or a foe? If it's a friend, then we'll be friends. If it's an enemy, then we'll deal with it as an enemy. Fong Ping. Wang Jinyang opened his mouth at this time, saying softly, there's no need to make things so tense. Quickly apologized to the seniors. Before Minister came, he did not have the intention to be Heavenly Emperor Dark Heaven sect's enemy. They are all human powerhouses. Now that a great enemy is at our side, our own people are making a big fuss. Fong Ping said indifferently. Our own people? That might not be the case. It's just a small request, but the other party is making excuses, not sincere at all. How do you expect me to believe that they are our own people? Heavenly Emperor Dark Heaven sect should have heard my words too. Fong Ping is not afraid of death. None of the martial artists of the neo-martial era are afraid of death. If the Heavenly Emperor feels that Fong Ping is going too far, just make a move. It's also good to use my blood to prove the Heavenly Emperor's friendliness. Fong Ping had the intention of, if you kill me, the human powerhouses will immediately start a war with you. At this moment, there was not the slightest message from Heavenly Emperor Dark Heaven sect. As for Fong Ping, he had long prepared to erupt his aura instantly. Even if old Zhang said that he could rush over in time, he still had to be careful. It was really too easy for a titled powerhouse to kill him. At the same time, Suo Jia and the other two were communicating telepathically. Suo Jia said furiously, he deserves to die. This person deserves to die. Ignoring the Heavenly Emperor's prestige, daring to be impudent in Dark Heaven sect. Could it be that we can still tolerate him? Su Bing said swiftly, no. Since the Heavenly Emperor has not spoken, I'm afraid he has no intention of becoming enemies with the fake Emperor now. This person is so rude. Once the great calamity arrives, he will die without a doubt. Suo Jia, don't ruin the Heavenly Emperor's plans. Infuriating me to death. Suo Jia was really too furious. The Emperor's prestige must not be offended. The human world's martial artists actually dared to offend the heavenly emperor. The crime was unforgivable. Yet, he could not flare up now. He held back his anger, but Fong Ping was deep in thought. He even tolerated this. It seemed like there really was some scheme. If the other party killed him, then it would definitely mean falling out. But he was so arrogant. In Fong Ping's opinion, if Heavenly Emperor Dark Heaven's sect really had no desires and was magnanimous, not to mention killing him, teaching him a big lesson was necessary. For example, seriously injuring him or letting the powerhouses under him teach him a lesson if he did not show up. These were all necessary. But the other party did not. He was actually tolerating. According to Fong Ping's understanding of these powerhouses, sometimes face was really very important. But now, the other party ignored him, letting him scold him freely. This was not a good thing. The old fellow must have a plan. He probably doesn't dare to fall out now, but he's also not a good thing. Fong Ping snorted. Since that day at Mount Royal Sea, he did not see an ancient powerhouse make a move, and he was also unhappy. Could those people not come out? Bullsh asterisk T. If they could not come out, how did the cat come out? He did not see the cat come out and was struck to death by lightning. Fong Ping's respect for these ancient martial artists completely dissipated at this moment. That person in Xuanda Grotto Heaven might be considered friendly, at least Fong Ping thought so. The other Grotto Heavens did not have anything good. The Grotto Heaven was a little better. Luckily, some people from Star Town came from there. This so-called 33 Heavens powerhouse was even more despicable. Sober, even entering the human world, knowing that humans were at war, knowing that humans were weak. None of the powerhouses said to come out. Even if they did not participate in the war, was it difficult to send some martial artists out to teach martial arts? Powerhouses like Su Bing would rather go into closed-door cultivation here than to go out and teach even one person. 100 years ago, Sino Nation really had to bear hardships. In this matter, Fong Ping had to admit that Star Town had a monstrous contribution. If it were not for Star Town's two elders who started the new martial arts era, there would not be today's grand occasion, and the human world might have been conquered by now. Star Town's contribution doesn't mean that other old antiques have it too. Fong Ping told himself again and again that he had to separate Star Town from the bounded domain area. These two could not really be regarded as one. Even if Warlord and the others came from the bounded domain area, he could not think that way. Taking another look at Suo Jia and the others who were holding their breaths, Fong Ping sneered. The more they held back, the bigger the plot. He wanted to see what they were up to. The next moment he knew. Su Bing suddenly sighed. Forget it. Since you don't trust us so much, then I have no way to explain. I will ask the Emperor for permission to go to the human world to fight, to show Black Light Sect's sincerity. What do you think, young friend? Since you doubt us, then we will take the initiative to fight. Coincidentally, the Emperor just said that he wanted them to go out, and just now he was thinking that it might not be appropriate to take the initiative to go out. Now the opportunity was just right. Since you want us to show our sincerity, then let us powerhouses go out to fight. Is that enough? Fong Ping raised his eyebrows slightly. Seniors, do you know that a war has broken out? Su Bing also frowned. This matter. Did Fong Ping mention it just now? He thought for a while and quickly said, We don't know about this, but didn't you mention it before, young friend? Is that so? Fong Ping said playfully, I think I did say that humans have a great enemy. Forget it, let's not talk about it. As expected, they knew. They knew all along. He did not mention in detail about the war, only that there was a great enemy. Su Bing's reaction was not slow, and he quickly said, Young friend, you even took out the true king's remains. How can I not know? Both of them were at daggers drawn, but now the atmosphere had eased again. Fong Ping regained his smile and asked, Seniors, are you preparing to go out and fight? That's right, Su Bing said with emotion. We have been asleep for countless years, and Black Light Sect has only just opened the Realm Gate. We don't know what happened in the human world before, but since humans are in trouble, how can we ignore it? The situation right now is very dangerous. Forget about Origin Dao. Even the fall of true gods is not once or twice. Not long ago, there were just a large number of true gods who fell. 7 in a day. Seniors, are you really going out at this time? 7 true gods have fallen. Everyone was shocked. So Zhao was no longer angry, his face full of shock. 7 true gods had fallen in a day. Had the war that broke out in the human world already reached such a degree? The next moment, everyone thought of something. Troubled times were coming. Perhaps all parties were preparing. The more urgent time was, all the more they had to go out. Such a major event like 7 true gods falling, they were all not too clear. They were not clear, but some people still had some senses. In the sky, Heavenly Emperor Black Light revealed a hint of contemplation slightly. No wonder he felt that the great Tao had changed the last time. So that was the case. However, the information was still a little delayed. He only sensed it after the battle of true gods broke out. Now, it was not long before the great change, so he had to make arrangements in advance. The next moment, Heavenly Emperor Black Light transmitted. Give him the treasure. This person's status should not be low. Don't be an enemy for the time being. Having said that, he said again, Qin Feng Qing, this person can be borrowed. After going out, borrow his power to get to the side of the fake emperor, and these people as soon as possible. Tell Qin Feng Qing that the opportunity has been seized. There is still a chance. As long as he is willing to contribute, this emperor can lend him a helping hand. Heavenly Emperor Black Light transmitted for a moment, thought about it, and said again, after going out, if we can borrow the emperor's power, that would be even better. Borrowing his power to kill some old friends, it might be more beneficial. Remember, you can reveal the realm where a few venerable emperors are. Just don't know if these people are still alive. Those powerhouses in the blessed grotto heavens also have to try their best to grasp detailed information. Including some powerhouses in the land realm, also have to investigate clearly. He transmitted for a while, and very soon, Su Bing replied, Heavenly Emperor, Qin Feng Qing, this person in the human world doesn't seem to be valued by the fake emperor. Why not take this opportunity to befriend Fang Ping? Having said that, he said again, were the other two? No. Those 2 people are a little off. This emperor feels that something is not right. As for Fang Ping, the fake emperor and many true gods have their own plans. There is too much karma. We can't interfere arbitrarily. He sensed some situations Li Hansong and Wang Jinyang were not quite right. As for the sense of familiarity, there was a little but not deep. He should not know them, of course. It was also possible that he had seen them before. However, these 2 people were indeed not right. It was best not to come into contact. As for Fang Ping, it was even more impossible. The other party could represent the fake emperor to enter Black Light. Obviously, his relationship with the fake emperor was quite deep. Although the fake emperor had not truly become an emperor, he also had emperor rank strength. Not to mention that the other party was also related to Ash Cat. That cat and dog at this moment, Heavenly Emperor Black Light suddenly thought of Heavenly Hound. Heavenly Hound was so powerful that even he was frightened. Heavenly Hound, what a pity. At this moment, scenes emerged in Heavenly Emperor Black Light's mind. Emerged the final battle in the past. The scene of Heavenly Hound swallowing the sky and corroding the sun, incomparably domineering. At that time, Heavenly Hound was invincible in the world. Unfortunately, even so, he still could not break through the Emperor path, perishing on the spot. Ash Cat and Heavenly Hound. Heavenly Hound was already dead. Ash Cat was still alive. Since this cat was related to Fang Ping, then it was best not to come into contact with Fang Ping arbitrarily. It was easy to cause big trouble. Among the 4 people, Qin Feng Qing was still the most worthy of investment. Furthermore, it was also suitable. This person only has the desire to become strong in his heart. There is no heaven or earth. The only thing he lacks is an opportunity. This emperor will give him such an opportunity. Black Light said coolly, the stronger the better. The great chaos is coming. Once this person achieves true God during the great chaos, he will be a variable. I originally thought that this person was related to the human world's true God and could be used. Looking at it now, that true God clone last time was not his thing. But no matter, fate is always similar. Some people are destined to bloom their brilliance, just like in the past, just like those people. Black light said vaguely. Very soon, he no longer transmitted his voice. What needed to be said had been said, since black light had already been discovered, then come into being. Fong Ping's tone was like he was teasing a child, laughing and saying, "This time, seniors, if you are willing to go out, then bring some young people out to see the outside world. Don't worry, even if we die in battle, we will never let these young people go to the battlefield to die." As soon as he said that, Su Bing frowned immediately. Protons? However, very quickly, Su Bing laughed and said, "That's what I was thinking. Since Black Heaven is opened, then it's reasonable to bring them out." As soon as he said that, not only were the teenagers not nervous, each of them was a little excited. Go to the human world? What was the human world like? Each of the young men and women had a longing look on their faces, a little expectant. Fong Ping saw the situation and laughed. This was good. A group of children who knew nothing. When they came to the human world, he could fool them however he wanted. It was difficult to deal with the old antiques, but it was not difficult for the young people. If Su Bing and the others really came to the human world, things would not go according to their ideas. When the time came, he would definitely arrange things for them properly. Fong Ping glanced at the teenagers with a face full of smiles, continuing, "Are the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Black Heaven still in Black Heaven?" Fong Ping laughed and said, "Why don't you bring the descendants of the Heavenly Emperor out? Seniors are the leaders of humanity in the past. Once they appear, they will definitely inspire people and make humans more courageous to fight. However, the Heavenly Emperor probably can't go out, so it's the same for the descendants. To us, they're the leaders of ancient humans." This, Su Bing hesitated. Fong Ping's heart moved. "There really was?" Su Bing said quickly, "The Imperial Prince has been in closed-door cultivation for many years. I'm afraid he can't leave. Young friend, please forgive him." "That's such a pity." Fong Ping was a little regretful. All kinds of thoughts emerged in his mind. After thinking for a while, he decided not to turn hostile now. However, he still had to locate old Zhang. At least let him know where Black Heaven was. He would think of a way when he left. If he erupted his aura now, it would easily attract Heavenly Emperor Black Heaven's attention. This time may also be an opportunity. Fong Ping suddenly felt that after this time, Black Heaven would definitely not be the only place to appear. Each of the old antiques was probably going to make a move. Before the last passageway opens, Fong Ping had some understanding, glancing at Su Bing and the others. They were all coming out. This era was really mixed with good people and bad people. The ancient martial artists who were almost invisible in the past were now starting to show up. However, they had to be managed well. If used well, it would be a help. If not, it would be a disaster. In a few words, both sides confirmed everything. As for the conflict just now, it was as if it had never happened. Su Bing began to bring Fong Ping to the treasure vault, preparing to retrieve the treasures. Qin Fengqing and the others had strange expressions. "You guys are bringing him to the treasure vault? Are you crazy? You guys can just take out the 3 treasures and give them to him, but you still want to bring him to the treasure vault to retrieve them. Are you showing off or not caring? Or are you really crazy? You guys can't really think that he won't be interested in those things, right?" Wang Jinyang sighed softly. Would these guys be fooled by Fong Ping into believing it, thinking that this guy would not be interested in anything other than the treasures? It was very possible. Fong Ping's attitude just now was as if he did not care about the treasures that the Heavenly Emperor cared about. With this attitude, if the treasures in the treasure vault were not too high-end, Su Bing and the others would probably think that Fong Ping would not be interested. "I hope there aren't too many things." Old Wang lamented in his heart. Too many words. Fong Ping's eyes turned red. Black Heaven would be waiting to be targeted by thieves. No robbers. Chapter 866. Black Light's Treasure Vault. A rank 8 powerhouse guarded outside the treasure vault. In fact, in Black Light, guarding the treasure vault was just to prevent youngsters from barging in. Most of the things that were useful to powerhouses should be in the hands of Heavenly Emperor Xianming. Su Bing and the rest did not care too much about bringing Fang Ping in, because the most precious treasures here were the three that were given out. The moment he entered the treasure vault, Fang Ping was actually a little disappointed. There were many things, but there were very few things that gave him a strong feeling of energy. There were energy stones here too, but Su Bing and the rest called them spirit stones. There were not many things, and it was a little messy. The few things like the origin armor were all in the deepest part, stored in a separate place. As for whether Heavenly Emperor Xianming took them out of the storage ring, or if they were originally here, Fang Ping was too lazy to tell. Young friends, this is the origin armor. Su Bing made a series of hand seals. In Fang Ping's opinion, they were all useless. It was just a special energy reorganization method. It would be the same even if he did not make hand seals. However, the other party made a series of seemingly complicated hand seals. Only then did he take out a simple battle armor from a defense shield. Fang Ping did not say anything. Maybe the other party thought that making some hand seals looked better. After taking the origin armor, Fang Ping checked it. There was indeed some unusual charm. This can be kept in the origin space. Fang Ping knew that the origin space was actually a space of willpower and mentality. Objects could not enter. Old antiques like Old Cat liked to fight in the origin space. That was because fighting in the origin space was gentler. It was not as bloody as fighting with fists. Of course you can. Su Bing smiled and nodded. Then, he took out a jade box and handed it to Fang Ping. This is the Xian Ming Divine Pill. Use it carefully, young friend. This item is extremely precious. If young friend feels that your body and spiritual consciousness, that is, your mentality is no longer compatible, then use it. Su Bing reminded. In the crowd, some young people followed. Seeing Fang Ping take away the Xian Ming Divine Pill, many of them were a little envious and jealous. They also knew the reputation of the Xian Ming Divine Pill. Fang Ping thought for a while, but asked, can this item allow martial artists who have combined 10,000 techniques or 10,000 techniques to return to the normal cultivation path? As soon as this was said, Su Bing said in surprise, 10,000 techniques, 10,000 techniques. Young friend, have you seen it before? Seeing his surprise, Su Bing said strangely, 10,000 techniques, 10,000 techniques, 2 techniques. Young friend, have you seen it? The requirements for myriad Dao unification were not low. One had to forge a golden body at rank 6. However, Fang Ping felt that since it could be done in modern times, it should not have been difficult during the ancient martial era. Su Bing frowned slightly and thought for a moment before saying, myriad Daos, myriad techniques is one. Actually, back then, halfway through, Su Bing paused for a moment before continuing. Actually, in the past, there were no true martial artists of the two paths. This was just a theory of the experts. 1. One Dao and 10,000 techniques? Techniques and Sui sect? Don't tell me you're talking about those martial artists who focus on physical or spiritual sense cultivation. Su Bing didn't reprimand him this time. He smiled and said, young friend, you might have seen these two types of people. They focus more on the corporeal body or spiritual consciousness, so you feel that 10,000 Daos and 10,000 techniques are one. In reality, that isn't the case. Su Bing did not scold him. He smiled. Young friend, you may have seen these two types of people. They focus on the physique or spiritual consciousness. That's why you feel that 10,000 techniques and techniques are one. That's not the case. I'm not too sure about the specifics. I only know that there were some experts back then who were determined to walk the path of the extreme in order to reach the apex. I'm only at origin. I wasn't qualified to participate in this. Su Bing shook his head. There were theories about walking the ultimate path, but no one had really done it. Fang Ping found it strange. He asked, Senior, do you mean that the 10,000 techniques and 10,000 techniques are not pure? That should be the case. Su Bing smiled. I've seen people like that before. They all focus on one path. When they focus on the extreme, we call it 10,000 techniques and 10,000 techniques. However, no one has ever seen a true ultimate path powerhouse. It's surprising that there are martial artists who are close to the ultimate path in the human world. According to Su Bing, people like Old Man Li were not considered as true 10,000 techniques. It was just that their physique was far stronger than their mentality. It gave people the impression that they did not understand mentality at all. Fong Ping listened for a while and asked, "Is there any difference between the true 10,000 techniques and martial artists who focus on the physique?" True 10,000 techniques. Su Bing thought about it. After a while, he suddenly smiled. In the past, a great emperor joked that if one really walks the ultimate path, a great emperor can fight a supreme emperor. So Jia said disdainfully, "How is that possible? Even if they really walk the ultimate path, they won't be a match for a supreme emperor. Didn't those great emperors want to walk the ultimate path to break through the emperor realm? If they can really fight a supreme emperor, then they don't need to look for other paths." Fong Ping frowned. At this moment, he was thinking about Old Man Li. What was a great emperor? In old Zhang and the rest's eyes, a great emperor was a vitality that had been enhanced by origin path. It reached the peak of 1 million cal, which was 2 million cal below the peak. This was a great emperor. Great emperor, celestial emperor, titled true god. These are all the same rank. Different people and different times had different names. Old Man Li's vitality is almost at 140,000 calories now. If he reaches the 9th refinement, it'll be at least 160,000 calories, right? If he steps on origin path, there'll be another enhancement. I'm afraid he can reach 200,000 calories. If he reaches the peak, there'll be another enhancement. Then it'll be at least 300,000 calories and above. When a great path reaches 10,000 meters, there'll continue to be transformations. It won't be difficult to reach 400,000 calories. Fong Ping calculated for a while. If Old Man Li advanced with the 9th refinement of the golden body and walked 10,000 meters on the great path, his basic vitality would be at least 400,000 calories and above. It could only be higher, not lower. 10,000 meters on the great path. That would be a twofold enhancement. After the enhancement, his vitality would be 1.2 million calories. At that time, Old Man Li would also be considered an emperor-level powerhouse. However, Fong Ping was thinking about a problem now. Old Man Li's vitality was double that of origin path. It was comparable to the essence of a supreme emperor's vitality. If he reached the peak, would the strength of his vitality force transform again? If he reached the peak, his essence would become double that of a supreme emperor's. Fong Ping suddenly found it hard to imagine. If that was the case, then it would be 2.4 million calories at the peak and 4.8 million calories at origin path. If that was the case, he could fight an emperor, right? Emperor. Was that so? Is Old Man Li's 10,000 Dao unification the true 10,000 Dao unification? When he reaches the peak, will there still be qualitative changes? Fong Ping was not sure at this time. He seemed to have never heard of these two supreme emperor powerhouses. Fong Ping looked at Iron Head and Old Wang again. In everyone's opinion, Iron Head was the resurrection of a 10,000 Dao unification powerhouse. However, listening to Su Bing now, during the apotheosis period, 10,000 Dao unification was just a theory. Was he the resurrection of an ancient martial artist whose physique was extremely heavy, or was it really 10,000 Dao unification? At this time, many thoughts appeared in Fong Ping's mind, but he did not say anything to the others. He would know once he saw it. If Old Man Li really reached the peak and underwent another qualitative change, then it would be terrifying. However, he was afraid that when he reached the peak, there would be no qualitative change. When that time came, Old Man Li might be much stronger than a weak Supreme Emperor when he reached the peak, but he would definitely not reach Emperor-level strength. Just as Fong Ping was thinking about this, Su Bing handed the third treasure to him. A sealed box. When Fong Ping looked at the box, he instantly discovered the solidification of Supreme Emperor's mentality. This box was sealed by someone. Under the Supreme Emperor, it was very difficult to open. If it was opened by force, it might shatter the box, and the things inside would turn into dust. Su Bing said very solemnly at this moment. This item was jointly drawn by the Heavenly Emperor and some venerable emperors in the past, after going through fire and water many times. This item is extremely important. Young friend, you must hand it to the Emperor. Also, please inform the Emperor that the Heavenly Emperor once said that it was best to seal this item. The Heavenly Emperor originally wanted to destroy this item, but he was reluctant to let this item disappear from the world completely. Now that the Emperor has appeared, then it will be handed over to the Emperor for safekeeping. Su Bing said solemnly. It was best to seal this item. Fong Ping was too lazy to say anything. The more he did this, the more tempting it would be. He did not know how many times he had played the game of loosening the reins to grasp. If Heavenly Emperor Xianming really wanted to destroy it, he would have done it long ago. Why did he have to keep it until now? If he did not want old Zhang to take it away, if he did not say it, if he did not take it out, who would know he had it? Now that he took it out, he said that he wanted to seal it. What a shallow trick. Despite the disdain in his heart, Fong Ping said with a smile on his face, "Don't worry, senior. Fong Ping will definitely pass the message." After getting the 3 treasures, Fong Ping glanced at his wealth. He did not see any increase and frowned slightly. Why did it not increase? Or could it be that he was actually still in danger? The only one who could threaten his life here was probably that Heavenly Emperor Xianming. As for Su Bing, he might be able to defeat him, but it would not be easy to kill him. Also, if these people were not hostile, it was reasonable to say that it would also increase. They are hostile towards me. Fong Ping understood. It was not a surprise. This time he was considered to be the kind of robber. It was normal for the other party to be hostile towards him. If they were not hostile, they would still be smiling so happily with Su Bing. That would be surprising. Origin armor. Xianming Divine Pill, I wonder how much they are worth. The Heavenly Realms map fragments probably don't count in wealth. Looking at his wealth again, Fong Ping felt that it would probably increase when he went out. Then he would know how much it was worth. Wealth, 5,780 million points vitality, 128,000 calories, 128,800 calories, mentality, 8,125 hertz, 8,299 hertz, destruction power, 63 yuan, storage space, 10,000 cubic meters plus, energy shield, 1 point/minute, plus, aura simulation, 10 points/minute, plus, origin detailed analysis, 10-100 million points/time wealth that was close to 7 billion before was reduced by 1 billion after one closed-door cultivation. Most of it was spent on the House of Gold. After coming out of the treasure vault, Fong Ping did not cause trouble in the treasure vault. Wang Jinyang looked at Fong Ping now, his expression suspicious. Leaving just like that? At this moment, Su Bing and the others had the intention to send the guest off. As for leaving the mountain, they probably would not leave immediately. They still had to wait for a few days while they settled some matters in Xianming Heaven. This time, they came to Xianming Heaven. Were they going to leave just like that? This time, he did know some things about Xianming Heaven. Could it be that they called old Zhang back, just for these few treasures? Fong Ping was not in a hurry. As he walked, he asked seniors if Fong Ping comes again next time. How do I come in? There are some guiding items in Xianming Heaven. I can't possibly trouble the Heavenly Emperor every time I enter, right? As soon as he said that, the few of them looked a little strange. You still want to come in? Before they could speak, Fong Ping smiled again and said, Also, is it convenient for the Heavenly Emperor to have a chat with the Emperor? Everyone knows that the situation is different now. If the Heavenly Emperor can talk to the Emperor, I think it will only be beneficial for Xianming Heaven. Su Bing said quickly. The Heavenly Emperor has just come out of closed-door cultivation. He still needs some time to stabilize himself. It's not that I'm neglecting the Emperor, but it's really not convenient to meet him now. I see. Fong Ping looked regretful. He said again, Then is there a guiding item for the next time? Su Bing said again, Young friend, you might not know this, but the Heavenly Emperor can only control the entry and exit of Xianming Heaven. Fong Ping laughed flatly. This was a lie. Was your Heavenly Emperor Xianming so free, especially sending people in and out? Did you people never go in and out before? Then I'll ask again. One side of Xianming Heaven leads to the human world. Does the other side lead to the catacombs? Where does it lead to? Su Bing said hurriedly. Xianming Heaven did have the power to connect the two worlds in the past. However, when heaven and earth changed back then, Xianming Heaven was also damaged. It has been sealed for thousands of years. Now that Xianming Heaven has just opened, I'm afraid we can no longer enter the catacombs. Having said that, he added, as for where it leads to the catacombs, we have no idea now. Maybe the passage on the other side has been completely sealed, and we can no longer enter or exit. Then where does it lead back then? Back then, it led to Su Bing paused, as if hesitating. Finally, he said, it leads to the edge of the bitter, forbidden sea. Fang Ping gave him a deep look, then looked at Suo Jia and the rest, smiling faintly. These people had to hide everything. Even their names had to be hidden. Fang Ping said directly, the so-called three realms, does it refer to the three realms of heaven, earth, and human? The human world is earth, the catacombs is the earthly realm, and the heavenly realm has been shattered and disappeared, right? As for the forbidden sea, maybe it wasn't called the forbidden sea in the past? Bitter sea? The bitter sea has no bounds. Repent and be saved? Fang Ping sneered, his laughter a little playfully, and said, if that's the case, the catacombs and earth are actually one world, not two worlds, right? Senior Su, I suddenly thought of a problem. Fang Ping said with a smile. If the catacombs powerhouses die in the human world, they can actually be resurrected by paying a price. Of course, the prerequisite is that they are not killed by martial artists. Is this the legendary reincarnation? Why is it only possible on Earth? Does this mean that reincarnation only exists on Earth? Or to put it more simply, the other two realms have already transcended reincarnation, so there is no such thing as resurrection. You guys have jumped out of the three realms and five elements. In the other realms, there is actually no such thing as reincarnation. The other realms think that they are a cut above others, so there is no need to go through reincarnation, and they are immortal and indestructible, right? Only on Earth, when powerhouses from the higher realms descend and die, can you reincarnate? And we ourselves don't seem to be able to do it. Fang Ping said to himself. Why? Is it because our level is too low? There is reincarnation in the human world that is prepared for high-level life forms. We ordinary people don't need to do that, right? At this moment, Fang Ping thought of too many legends, too many myths. Something suddenly connected at this moment. However, something still could not be explained. Why could the catacombs martial artists who died on Earth pay a huge price to be resurrected directly? Was this considered reincarnation? Probably not. Even if it was, who made the rules? Emperors? In Fang Ping's eyes, powerhouses were very powerful. But no matter how powerful they were, they could not do this, right? Reverse life and death. As Fang Ping spoke, Su Bing and the others did not respond. Fang Ping had already understood a lot of things. At this moment, he abandoned all other thoughts, looked at everyone, and said, 3 days later, seniors can come out of the mysterious abyss. Tomorrow, we will arrange for people to wait for you outside. Also, Fang Ping has to say the ugly words first. You can only enter and exit with our permission. After this, we will build a reception hall outside the exit and send martial artists to guard it. You will need a pass to enter and exit. As soon as he said this, everyone's expression did not look too good. Some of the youths were also dissatisfied. What pass? Whether we go out or not, is it up to the human world to care? Fang Ping glanced at the youth who spoke and said indifferently, human world? Heaven? Mysterious abyss? You guys are thinking too much. This world has rules now. There are no forces that transcend the outside world. No one is allowed. After coming out, you need to learn the rules. Murder is against the law. Murder must be paid with your life. Killing an ordinary person, even if he is an origin Dao, he must pay with his life. These are the rules. The human world's rules. Our rules. If you can't do it, if you think no one will care about you, you don't have to go out because you will die. No one is an exception, including the so-called emperors and even the emperors. As soon as he said this, Everyone's expression changed. Suo Jia even snorted. Ridiculous. If that's the case, we are even worse than ordinary people? The death of an ant, competing to make us pay with our lives. Suo Jia wanted to laugh. What kind of rule was this? Could the lives of the powerhouses be equal to the lives of the weak? Even the emperors could not be offended. The emperors were detached from the outside world, not subject to any restrictions. Suo Jia found it ridiculous and did not believe it. Even if the emperors killed those ordinary people, so what? Could it be that there were really people who were willing to become enemies with the emperors for these mortals? Ridiculous? Fong Ping's mouth cracked open, smiling brightly, his teeth gleaming. He stared at him for a while, grinning. Is it very ridiculous? Maybe you can try. As he said that, Fong Ping's tone turned cold, suddenly saying, maybe it's time to change. Maybe he should kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. Let the other 33 heavens, including the old antiques of the boundaries, know that times had changed, the rules had changed. These people's attitude was too obvious. Mortals were just ants. If they died, they died. Once these people came out, they might cause turmoil in the world. No powerhouse believed that killing some ordinary people would cause trouble for powerhouses. Fong Ping suddenly had a plan in his mind. Maybe he really had to establish his power, kill the chicken to warn the monkeys, let these people know what rules were. This was not just 1 or 2 houses. There were 8 boundary lands, but it was unclear how many there were in the 33 heavens. These old antiques did not believe at all that anyone would go against them for some ordinary people who were not worth mentioning. They were all emperors. To deal with them, at least an emperor-level powerhouse would be needed, but which emperor-level powerhouse would be so idiotic as to risk his life for some ants? And now, there was such an idiotic emperor-level powerhouse outside. There were also some idiotic, true, god-level powerhouses like this. There were quite a few at the Origin realm. Martial artists in the Neo-Martial era might all be idiots. This matter needs to be taken seriously. Fong Ping murmured in his heart. If these people were not deterred, it would be more troublesome than the catacombs. They had to have a good reason to attack. I'll pretend to be an ordinary person later. I'll find trouble with Suo Jia. Let him kill me. Then I'll have a good reason to attack and directly wipe out mysterious brightness heaven. Such a thought suddenly arose in Fong Ping's mind. As for attacking forcefully now, it might work, but then all the old antiques would feel insecure and start to group up. It was fine if it was an individual person, but once the old antiques in the dark all grouped up, then old Zhang and the rest would be in big trouble. There were catacombs powerhouses first, and then there were these old antiques causing trouble. They were attacked from both sides. For these old antiques, they had to deter some, rope in some, kill some. This was in line with the interests of mankind. They had to set up rules. Fong Ping was still thinking when Su Bing shook his head lightly at Suo Jia again. Listen first, as for whether to do it or not, they would decide when the time came. Suo Jia's hostility towards these people was too obvious. He was now considering whether to bring Suo Jia along. If he brought Suo Jia along this time, he might cause some trouble. This was not a good thing. As for the rules that Fong Ping mentioned, he did not really take them seriously. They were just polite words. In the past, some of the great emperors had also said that if their disciples were killed, they must pay with blood, but if they really provoked a powerhouse and were killed, then they would be killed. Which great emperor would make a move against another great emperor for the sake of some disciples? Even the great emperors were like that, let alone Fong Ping. What Fong Ping said was just to listen. They were still the great emperor's disciples. As for the ordinary people, no matter how many died, no one would care. These people did not care too much about this. Fong Ping could also see that. He sneered in his heart, feeling even more disgusted with these people. Back then, he had half expectations and half hope for these old antiques. He had pinned his hopes on really having an older generation powerhouse come out of retirement to support mankind, to stabilize the country, and to create a prosperous and peaceful era. But now, there was only disappointment. Blindly appeasing them won't work. Use both the carrot and the stick. Use blood as a deterrent. In the sky above Xian Ming heaven, Heavenly Emperor Xian Ming gave a cold snort, considered venting the dissatisfaction in his heart. Following that, he was somewhat solemn. That Fong Ping. How did he erupt with the origin realm chi in the end? He was an emperor-rank powerhouse. A golden body realm martial artist could actually hide his strength in front of him. This was also too inconceivable. Nine Heavens, Divine Emperor. Chapter 867. Underground. Fong Ping and the others appeared in the blink of an eye. Zhang Tao laughed loudly, swept them away, and left instantly. He did not stay long. He had already located the other party's hiding place. At this moment, he only needed to wait for Fong Ping to explain the internal situation. Based on the situation, he could come again at any time. Very soon, East Mountain House of Governors. East Mountain's governor was surprised to see Zhang Tao's arrival. However, when he saw Fong Ping and the others, he was not too surprised. Were these people preparing to do something big? East Mountain's governor was excited when he thought about it. What were they going to do? East Mountain did not have a catacombs entrance, but West Mountain did. Could it be that the minister and the others were preparing to conquer the West Mountain catacombs? He was in East Mountain, and East Mountain's main mission was to help defend the West Mountain catacombs. If they conquered the West Mountain catacombs, that would be good too. Unfortunately, old Zhang did not care about him at all. With a greeting, he borrowed a conference room and sent East Mountain's governor away. Don't get involved when powerhouses talk. Old Zhang did not say it clearly, but his attitude was obvious. East Mountain's governor looked sad. He was despised. Were rank 7 powerhouses not? The minister used to be very polite when he saw him. Why was it like this now? After sending East Mountain's governor away, Zhang Tao glanced at the direction he left and laughed. This guy's been stuck at rank 7 for more than 10 years. Without the catacombs in East Mountain, these governors are slacking off. Nowadays, the governors in provinces with catacombs are stronger. The governors in provinces without catacombs are weaker. Even in Nanjiang, the last catacombs opened in Sino Nation, Zhang Dingnan was about to reach upper stage rank 7. This was also because of the pressure. Fong Ping smiled, not caring too much about this. He said, I'm talking about information. First, the other party comes from Xian Ming Gong Hua Heaven and calls himself Xian Ming Heavenly Emperor. Second, the so-called 33 skies may not be 33, but it's definitely not just one. These places connect the two realms and are extremely important. Third, there are people inside. I heard there are more than 500 people. I didn't investigate carefully, and some places can't be explored. Fourth, those old antiques don't have a good attitude. They are only afraid of the minister's pressure and have other plans. I'm afraid they have evil intentions. At this, Fong Ping said seriously, Minister, these old antiques are coming out one after another. Xianming will not be the last. If these people were to come out into the world and not be controlled, something big would definitely happen. They see us as mortals, as ants. If he was used to being high and mighty, it would be hard for him to restrain himself. Let me make a suggestion. Fong Ping thought for a while before saying, the Department of Investigation Services has always been in charge of ground safety matters, but there aren't many powerhouses in the department. I'm afraid they won't be able to restrain these people. Fong Ping paused, then continued. My suggestion is to set up another organization, gather powerhouses, and suppress these people. Roping in, suppressing, killing. Fong Ping's expression was icy as he said, the neo-martial era, the prosperity built up over 100 years, must not be destroyed in their hands. Instead of being destroyed by the catacombs, they were destroyed by these people. The blood of millions of soldiers would have been shed in vain. We must take control of all the precincts, or else the catacombs' powerhouses may come to Earth through this place. Zhang Tao listened for a while and asked about the situation. After a while, he suddenly smiled and said, That's true. Now is the time to come out. We have to be on guard. Zhang Tao rose to his feet and paced back and forth. As the chaos approached, these people began to stir. Some of them could not stand it anymore and began to reveal their whereabouts, preparing to set up a trap. Zhang Tao murmured, "It's difficult to suppress all these people with just us. We have to borrow strength. People from Blacklight's sect want to enter the world. These people, I'm afraid they weren't in the same group back then. We have to borrow strength to fight strength." Old Zhang suddenly looked at Fong Ping and said with a smile, "Fong Ping, how about Sino Nation setting up the 4th Division?" Fong Ping's heart skipped a beat. His mouth cracked open, and he declined, "I don't think that's a good idea. I'm only rank 8 after all. You think I'm talking about you?" Old Zhang laughed heartily and said quickly, "What I mean is, pull Chen Yaozu out and make him the minister of the 4th Division. You'll also be the deputy minister. Recruit these old antiques and borrow strength to fight strength. They're scheming against each other. We can borrow their strength to suppress some people and kill some people." Zhang Tao was extremely cold at this moment. He sneered and said, "We don't have to care too much about these old antiques. It's good that they're dead. They're still unstable factors even if they're alive. Rope in a group of people and eradicate another group of people. In the end, those who are still alive and disobedient, kill them all. The 4th Division shall be called the Heaven Division." Old Zhang smiled and said, "This is not the real Heaven Division, but the Heaven-destroying division. Destroy those grotto heavens and the immortals of the 33 heavens. Those who could be roped in, those with good intentions, would be classified as humans, the convergence of all Taos. This era doesn't need these beasts. The sky. I only need the sky in front of me." Zhang Tao said indifferently, "Treating the people as heaven is enough. 33 heavens? 10 paradises? We don't need them. High and mighty emperors and immortals who looked down on all living beings did not need them. In this era, there is no need for such things. Everyone is the sky. You have your sky, and we have ours. In the end, everyone's heavens converged. Hence, there was a new martial and a golden age." Zhang Tao suddenly opened the window and looked around. He said with some arrogance, "This is the golden age. This is the mythical world that I, Zhang Tao, created with my own efforts." He didn't need to be rich, and he didn't need to be strong. Everyone could eat their fill and wear warm clothes. Everyone could have their own ideas and their own future. Perhaps there was darkness, but darkness would not make people despair. Perhaps there was unfairness, but fairness still exists, and justice still exists. Powerhouses enjoy special privileges, but they also have to pay a price that ordinary people can't afford. That's why they have special privileges. The weak have the hope of becoming the strong. Hence, there are martial arts universities. The world of great unity might not exist, but a world with a future, with hope, where everyone can see hope and a future. This is the real mythical world. At this moment, Zhang Tao was in high spirits. At this moment, Zhang Tao laughed wildly. Fong Ping laughed too. As he laughed, he said, "Minister, if one day the threat of the catacombs is quelled, what will happen to people like us?" Fong Ping said softly, "When that day comes, when the external threat is gone, what will happen to martial arts powerhouses like us? Will we become people like Heavenly Emperor Xianming and the others one day?" Zhang Tao said in a low voice, "Maybe, but at least not now. When we become like this, we will also lose the hearts of the people, lose the belief of today. When that time comes, you and I may also perish. We can talk about the future in the future. If one day we also rule over the masses and see them as ants, then history will definitely repeat itself. When that time comes, there will also be people like this who will overthrow us, kill us, and destroy us. This is humanity." Zhang Tao's gaze was deep, as if thousands of Daos were circulating. He looked at Fong Ping and smiled. "So you don't have to worry about these. Today, your belief is to overthrow all the darkness, all the unfairness. When you become such a person, you will realize that you will also be like those old antiques in Dark Sky Palace, a rotten thing that will be swept into the trash heap. Establish the Heaven Division, recruit a group of old antiques, and suppress everywhere. Zhang Tao looked at Fang Ping and said in a low voice, "The blessed grotto heaven and 33 heavens might not be everything. There were people in hiding during the apotheosis era and the sex era. Would there be even more ancient people hiding? Humans have them, and so do the catacombs. Even such people must be suppressed. Does the Heaven Division have the ability to suppress them? The military department is in charge of war, the education department is in charge of specialization, the Department of Investigation Services is in charge of ground safety maintenance, and the 4 houses are in charge of support. Fang Ping, if you establish the Heaven Division, Qinyaozu might not have the ability to suppress everywhere. As for us, we have our own mission. Our main enemy is still the catacombs. Whether we can suppress these old antiques or not, it still depends on you." Fang Ping looked dazed. After a while, he laughed dryly and said, "Minister, that cough, I think it's better for me to be MCMAU's vice-chancellor." What a joke. Many of those old antiques were emperor level. It was still okay for him to kill some martial artists below the paragon level, but to actually want him to suppress the heavens before the neo-martial artists, this was not something he could do. Zhang Tao squinted and smiled. "So straightforward? You have to know that when I first stepped into Origin Dao, I had already taken over the Ministry of Education and became the minister. It was the same for the 3 ministries and 4 houses. Did Li Jun only become a commander after he reached the paragon level? He didn't. None of us did. But now, we are all paragons. Brother Wu is not." Fang Ping interrupted. The corner of old Zhang's mouth twitched. "This should be conveyed to Wu Chuan. You are being looked down upon again. No, I almost forgot that you are not a paragon level." "Cut the nonsense." Zhang Tao laughed again. "Taking over the Heaven Division. This is great courage. Even now, I dare not say that I can suppress these people. If I had this ability, I would have done it long ago, but I don't." Zhang Tao sighed. "I can't do it, at least not now. I also hope that someone can do it, the neo-martial artists. I didn't ask you to bring people to kill those old monsters in the beginning. The priority is to rope them in. The priority is to persuade them. It's best if you can rope them in, but if you can't, then you can write it down first. In the early stage, I will also help you to intimidate some of the old monsters. It's best if you can make some agreements with these old monsters. The paragon level will not come out." Zhang Tao laughed. "This is actually not difficult. Actually, they don't want to come out now. They don't want to make a move. But their disciples will definitely be active in various places in the near future. We can't kill indiscriminately, but we can't not kill. If we make a move and kill them, it may cause these old monsters to be afraid of us, and then join forces. That will be big trouble. But if you guys kill a group of young people, kill a group of old antique characters whose ranks are higher than theirs, then kill them." Fang Ping thought for a while and said, "Minister, do you think there are many places like this? How many of these old monsters' disciples are there?" According to legend, there are 33 layers of heaven, 10 major grotto heavens, 36 minor grotto heavens, 72 blessed lands. Zhang Tao said in a low voice, "It might not be false. Maybe in the later stage, some places were included. During the apotheosis period, it might not be like this. During the nirvana period, the number might not be like this. But you have to know when the sex nirvana was? More than 2,000 years ago. Are there places like the bounded zones in the later stage? There might not be on Earth. But what about the catacombs?" "The catacombs?" "Yes." Zhang Tao laughed. "Do you think they're all on Earth? Some places like the bounded zones, aren't they in the catacombs? This is the outer area of the catacombs. What about the inner area? How many places have you been to in the inner area? Are you sure there are no such places? Back then, when humans ran amok in the catacombs, would they only be active in the outer area? That's why it's really hard to say how many such places there are. A few hundred people in one place, that's not a small number." Zhang Tao took a deep breath and said, "If that's the case, then we have to be fully prepared. We can't attack too often. Powerhouses have to have the style of powerhouses." Old Zhang laughed meaningfully. "If we attack too often, we'll solve all the troubles for you. Where will you get the pressure to improve? That's why we have to learn from those old antiques. Endure. Soldiers against soldiers. Generals against generals. You guys attack and kill those troublemakers. We'll stand guard behind the scenes to deter those old antiques. At this time, it's not suitable to start a war with these people. They're still very important. Some fellows still need these people to deal with. If they're all killed, then all the pressure will be directed at them. Heaven division, Fang Ping murmured. Zhang Tao continued. Chen Yaozu is enough. He's at the top. Even those so-called emperors might not be weak in the past, but they might not be now. It's not easy to kill Chen Yaozu. As long as they can't kill him, if they attack, then we'll attack too. Chen Yaozu entering the Heaven Division is meant to deter those old antiques. Once you become the deputy minister, the task of suppressing all parties will be yours. Zhang Tao paced around, thought for a while, and said, in the near future, other than the place where the kings fight, there won't be any people at the level of the top fighting in other places. Even if it's the place where the kings fight, I'm afraid it'll end without any results this time. The two kings aren't that easy to deal with. The Life King's thinking is too simple. In the end, a balance will probably be maintained. When that time comes, it'll be the era where the rank 9 origin Daos reigns supreme. It will continue until the last passageway is opened. Although we don't have an agreement with the catacombs or those old antiques, we'll try our best to reach a tacit understanding. At this time, the top won't attack. The next 2 years are all yours. Fang Ping continued. If that's the case, the next 2 years are actually a period for us to rise up? Not really. Zhang Tao shook his head. It can only be said to be tacit understanding. All parties need to clean up a group of people and plan for the next situation. Once the war starts, if I'm not wrong, the top might not interfere with the war under the top anymore. As Zhang Tao said that, he said mysteriously, actually, this situation might happen earlier. Kid, do you know what we've been doing recently? Fang Ping shook his head. How would he know? Do you want to know? Fang Ping nodded hurriedly. Yes. Huh? Zhang Tao laughed loudly. Then he said, there's no hurry now. We'll talk about it when it's done. If it's done well, we might be able to get rid of the impasse. At this level, humans are at an absolute disadvantage. Don't be fooled by the fact that we've killed a lot of true kings previously. In terms of strength, we're definitely not as good as the catacombs and those old antiques in hiding. If we divide the forces into 3 parties, humans, the catacombs, and the people from 1,000 years ago, we're the weakest. Old Zhang simply divided the forces into 3 major sects, making it clear that humans and those people from 1,000 years ago were not on the same side. Using the Devil Emperor's counterattack 1,000 years ago as the boundary, humans did not acknowledge the antiques before this. When the time comes, we'll think of a way to get rid of all the top existences, at least before the war starts completely. Do you know why we're doing this? Zhang Tao took a deep breath and said, it's to buy time for all of you. When you reach the top existences, this will lead to a qualitative change. No matter how many rank 9s there are, it'll be difficult to kill the top existences. This is where the serious problem lies. With them around, you won't have many opportunities to participate in some battles. You'll have to guard against them at all times. Humans need to give birth to more impasse. This can't go on. Do you dare to enter the restricted area to explore? Do you dare to hunt for treasures? Do you dare to look for opportunities? None of you dare. If you hide and hide, how can you advance? Not only you, the catacombs rank 9s don't dare to move around normally. They think that with the true kings around, they don't need to care about these things. Actually, to them, it's not a good thing either. In this turbulent era, all of us have to move. If you don't move, and I don't move, then the final outcome will be a great war. The top existences will still be us. There's no change. And once there's no change, humans will definitely lose. Definitely lose? Fang Ping frowned slightly and said, Minister, I think our current situation isn't too bad. Saying that we'll definitely lose. What do you think? Zhang Tao sneered and said, I only have one question. Do you think that with the current situation in the next 2 years, there's really hope for you to advance to the top existences? Not only you, but also Wu Chuan, Wu Quishan, and the rest. Do they dare to go to the catacombs restricted area and take the risk? No. The catacombs rank 9s don't come to the Outland anymore. You want them to sit in seclusion for 2 years in advance? Don't think so much. The current Wu Quishan is not even as good as Zhang Weiyu 3 years ago. Zhang Weiyu also couldn't break through in 3 years. This time, it's also because of opportunities. Therefore, only when the true king powerhouses are gone will you dare to go in. Let me ask you, if the catacombs no longer has a true king now, do you dare to fight your way out of Imperial Sea Mountains? Fong Ping's eyes were filled with excitement. Of course we dare. The catacombs are so big. Although there are many rank 9s, they don't have an overwhelming advantage against us. Moreover, they're scattered. When that time comes, why would I be afraid of them? Fong Ping could even imagine that Old Wu and the rest might also carry their swords and go to the restricted area. Not only Old Wu, even Wang Jinyang and the rest, even if they could no longer conceal their auras, they would not have any hesitation or scruples. Previously, they were worried that they would encounter a true king and be killed instantly. They would not even have the ability to react before they were killed. That would be too frustrating. However, once these powerhouses who had the ability to kill them instantly were gone, with the courage and fearlessness of humans, it would be strange if they did not enter the restricted area. Minister, this can't be done, right? Fong Ping still had some doubts. How could this be done? Hundreds of true kings. How could they be taken away? Why can't it be done? Zhang Tao narrowed his eyes. Have you seen the space battlefield before? Yes. The space battlefield is vast and boundless. Yet it's also like a cage. We still don't know how it was created. The only thing we know is that once an outburst of power surpasses the limit, a battlefield will appear. Fighting in the space battlefield, even the best can't destroy anything. However, now that we've gone in, we can actually come out. As long as we want to, we can come out. Fong Ping's eyes moved. What you mean is, what if we can't come out? Zhang Tao grinned. So, now I want to create a battlefield, then put a cage and close the doors. Everyone will go in together and never come out. This can't be done, right? Fong Ping said doubtfully. If it's really possible, then we might as well lock them inside for the rest of their lives. It might not have been possible in the past, but now, there's still hope. Old Zhang grinned. Unite more than a dozen of the best and build a cage together. Use a treasure to lure everyone into this place and close the cage. If the other party's dozens of true kings join forces, they can still break the cage. But if the treasure hasn't been found, why would they want to go out? As for joining forces, if they really join forces, we'll ambush, harass, and not let them leave. Even if they know it's a trap, they'll still fall for it. What treasure? Initially, I was planning to get the seed of rebirth, but now, Old Zhang grinned. Now, didn't you get a Heavenly Realm map fragment? How about the Heavenly Realm? Fong Ping blinked. Heavenly Realm? A Heavenly Realm that has fallen into the space battlefield. It's suspected that there's a sleeping emperor, or there's a way to walk the emperor's path. As long as we make it more realistic, a large number of powerhouses will enter. For those who don't enter, we'll think of a way to force everyone to enter. If they want to go, we'll go together. If not, when a large number of powerhouses enter, we'll kill the weak ones. Let's see if they dare to stay. As long as we enter, they won't have to worry about the outside world. If that's the case, the opportunity will come. At this point, Zhang Tao thought for a while and said, we'll have to discuss this with the cat. We've never seen an emperor or the heavenly realm. This cat might not be the case. It might have a way to create an illusion that can make the old antiques believe it. Zhang Tao began to perfect his plan comprehensively. He continued, we'll strive to get this thing done before the end of the Martial King's battlefield. At that time, a large number of true kings will gather, and we'll bring them away. The location, it's best if it's above the Forbidden Sea. We'll leave this to the cat. He made it sound easy, but Fong Ping was speechless. Minister, can that cat do this? Why not? Old Zhang smiled. Everything is possible. As long as it suits the cat's appetite, there's still hope. Of course, this shackle hasn't been made yet, so there's no rush. Besides, this thing we're making now, it might not work. Zhang Tao was helpless. This was difficult. It involved space. Soon, Zhang Tao said, but now that we've discovered places like Black Heaven Realm, we might be able to use them, including the Hall of Myriad Origins. This time, we're actually using the Hall of Myriad Origins as a template. Perfect these as soon as possible. Once it's done, kid, your time will really come. Zhang Tao smiled. When that time comes, it's all up to you. As for Earth, before we leave, we'll set up some apex barriers outside each catacomb's passageway. It won't last long, but it's considered a precaution. If the outer realm is really breached, we'll also know. When that time comes, we'll return. Fong Ping nodded. He was a little worried. Could it work? Old Zhang and the others did not have many people. Also, this time it was only Sino Nation doing it. What about the other 5 sacred lands apex? Zhang Tao did not mention these. At this time, Fong Ping suddenly noticed something strange. He turned his head to look at Old Wang and the others. They looked a little dazed, as if they did not hear anything. Voice transmission? Fong Ping did not notice Old Zhang's voice transmission. Could it be that they were shielded? He was still thinking about it. Zhang Tao saw him looking at Wang Jinyang and the others. He smiled and said, "Don't tell anyone about this for now. It won't do them any good if they know. When the time comes, we'll prepare for you. Our goal is very simple. More powerhouses will appear. When that time comes, there might be casualties, but this time, Zhang Tao was much more serious. Remember, it's still okay to give everyone some life-saving, imperishable substances. But don't bother about the rest. No matter what kind of danger they encounter in the catacombs. When that time comes, everyone will look after themselves. Kid, don't meddle in everything. Don't blame me for being ruthless. If you meddle in everything, it'll be very difficult for someone to break out in a desperate situation and achieve the apex. Don't be fooled by the number of powerhouses in MCMU now. There are a lot of middle-rank martial artists. To be honest, the quality is not as good as before." Zhang Tao shook his head. "You'll understand when you see. Back then, there were only so many martial artists and not many rank 9s were born. But among these rank 9s, how many powerhouses came out? There were already 4 apex. The ratio is too high. Back then, there were only a few thousand rank 6 martial artists. But among these few thousand, there were hundreds of high-ranked martial artists. Fong Ping, MCMU has a lot of middle-ranked martial artists now, right? If we don't give them treasures like the Heavenly Golden Lotus and forcefully increase their mentality, let me ask you, in a situation where there is no mentality cultivation method, how many high-ranked martial artists do you think MCMU can produce?" Fong Ping's expression froze. How many? Not counting those old people who were already one step away from the door. Among the newbies and students, were there 5 people who really had the hope of achieving rank 7 on their own? Among the thousands of middle ranks, there were less than 5 people who had the hope of achieving rank 7. This was MCMAU. Don't be fooled by the number of people who had advanced in the past 2 years. In fact, they were not newbies. They were all the old people. For example, people like Luo Chuan were already one step away from the last step. Therefore, although it looked like it was caused by Fong Ping, it was actually the accumulation in the early stage of neo-martial arts. Zhang Weiyu and the others had accumulated for a long time and were only one step away. Nan Yunyue and Zhang Weiyu's advancement was not just a matter of relying on some imperishable substances. That's all I have to say. Do as you see fit. Zhang Tao said again. Do you know why I said so much to you? Kid, you are the biggest variable that I have pinned my hopes on. That's why I hope you can know what I want to do and why I'm doing these things. While I'm still on Earth, I still have time to try my best to solve all the problems that can be solved. This time, if the plan succeeds, we might come out very soon. Or we might have to wait until the last passageway opens before we come out. Minister, if you guys leave and someone on the other side becomes a true king, won't that be troublesome? Once someone advances, we will try our best to think of a way to get them out of here together. I will leave some mentality avatars for you guys, a small amount. Remember, in the future, you're only allowed to inform me if something big like this happens. Zhang Tao said this, and finally said, "That's the plan for now. If you want to create a sky sect, then do it in these few days. At least I'll give you a name to do these things. Otherwise, when we leave, you won't be able to do these things for a while." Fong Ping scratched his head. Was he going to make him the boss? Would it be too soon? Zhang Tao did not care about him. After saying that, his silhouette flickered, and he left in the blink of an eye. Before he left, a voice came from the sky. "I will make arrangements for mystic heaven. You go and prepare the sky sect. Recruit people who need to be recruited. In the near future, I might ask you guys to attack and surround some old antiques. Make a name for yourself first. At least make a name for yourself among these old antiques." Fong Ping wanted to say something more, but seeing that he had already left, he shook his head helplessly. "Don't just talk. You didn't give me anything, and you want me to create one? Are you kidding me? Where can I get people? Who will pay? Don't I need to pay when I join the department? You didn't say anything, and then you forcefully gave me the position of deputy minister. You're throwing the matter to me? You're getting more and more unreliable." Fong Ping complained, but he was a little excited inside. Even Absolute Peak was going to leave? Would old Zhang's plan succeed? If it could, that would be awesome. If Absolute Peak did not come out, although he was not the top powerhouse, he was still considered one of the top ones in the origin path. When the time came, he would have less to worry about, and there would be more things he could do. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lord YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.